Harry Potter, the Formidable Wizard of Beauxbatons. Chapter 21. The magic carriage had just brought the students back to Beauxbatons College. Louis, who was sitting at the front, immediately handed over the jade plaque to the professor accompanying the carriage. After registering the scores, he hurried out of the carriage. He had already asked for leave with the professors on the way. The talent show stage would be held this afternoon, and he had one morning to deal with Fla's affairs. Not long after Louis left, Sophie jumped off the carriage and chased him in the direction he left. "Louis, here, I'm here." Durami's voice suddenly emerged from the grass. Durami, wearing a light green ghillie suit and black and green camouflage on his face, led Louis into the grass. "This is the reason you are looking for." Durami handed Louis an atlas full of abstract works. With his dancing explanation, Louis finally understood what was recorded in it. The first picture is Fleur coming to see him off, with a long-haired stick figure representing Fleur, the carriage flying into the sky, representing Louis leaving, and then there is the scene of Fleur crying. The second picture shows Fleur on her way to class, when 4 evil witches bully her. The last picture No. 12 is from last night. The unbearable Furong broke out and used magic to attack 4 vicious witches in violation of school rules. Finally, Furong was taken away by the patrolling professor and the 4 witches were sent to the school hospital. "Calm down, you have to calm down, Louis. At least, you can't attack your classmates with magic, otherwise you will be taken away by the professor. Don't worry Durami, even without the magic spell, those guys are no match for me." The voice without any emotion made Durami shiver. He didn't know if it was Durami's illusion. He felt that Louis was so scary now. "Louis also has a house elf, what are they doing hiding in the grass?" Sophie had a curious expression on her face. "Are they 2 different species, and 2 male creatures shouldn't be able to?" After a while, Louis walked out of the grass and walked to the solitary room under the leadership of Durami. They wanted to rescue Fleur first, and Sophie quickly chased after her. Inner City Confinement Room. "You are the child of Cobos and Diana, right?" An old wizard with skin and bones and almost no flesh suddenly appeared from the darkness. He was the guardian of the confinement room. No one knew his name. They only knew that he had been working in the confinement room for more than 50 years. "Do you know my parents?" Louis was startled by the sudden appearance of the old wizard and almost punched him. No wonder Doremi refused to come here. It turned out that there was an old wizard who liked to scare people. Of course, that kid from Cobos was a frequent visitor to the solitary room back then. When Corvus Lestrange VI was in school, Grindelwald had only been defeated for more than 20 years. The fathers of that generation of young wizards had basically participated in the Wizarding War and had a deep hatred for the Saint family. They often fought against Corvos. Against such descendants of saints. Well, people like to reminisce when they get old. "What's the matter with you here, little Lestrange? If I remember correctly, old man, you should just go back to school. I'm looking for a girl named Fleur, who is about the same height as me, has blonde hair, and is a good-looking second-year witch." "Hibiscus, who is that? Is he here to find a girl?" For some reason, Sophie felt a sense of hostility towards Fleur, a girl she had never met before. "Furong, right? She used magic to attack her classmates last night. She was supposed to be detained for 3 days and given a minor demerit. It's her first offense, so she only needs to be detained for 1 day. You can pick her up at 8 o'clock in the evening. This kid looks like his mother." The old wizard looked at Louis with nostalgia in his eyes. Back then, this was how Diana waited for Cobos. Every time that guy had a fight, Diana would come to the solitary room to visit him several times. "Can't you be accommodating? I'll just go in and have a few words with her," Louis begged. "Oh, for the sake of your parents, go in. She is locked in the second confinement room on the 3rd floor." The old wizard closed his eyes and waved to Louis to go back early. "Thank you." Louis saluted the old wizard and resolutely stepped into the confinement room without a trace of light. "Descendant of Ryan Marceau, how long are you going to stay out?" After Louis entered, the old wizard looked at the place where Sophie was hiding and said, "Do you know my father?" "That's right. He and Uncle Cobos are very good friends. I heard they were even imprisoned together." Sophie arranged her clothes and walked out from behind the corner with a relieved face. "You came to find the brat from the Cobos family, and then the brat came to find a girl named Fleur. The relationship between you two is like, task tisk. What are you talking about?" Sophie's face turned red, I was just curious, I accidentally walked here. The old wizard smiled. Although he was old, his heart was not old. He was not old-fashioned. He didn't know if there was something going on between the three little guys. Fu Rong, I'm sorry, I'm late. Opening an unlocked wooden door, with the faint light of an oil lamp, Louis quickly saw Fu Rong's slender figure. She was sitting on a solid wood bed, her long golden hair covering her pretty profile, making it difficult to see the expression on Fla's face. Ah, Louis. Why are you here? Is the hunting over? I'm sorry, I couldn't see you off that morning. Hearing Louis' voice, Fleur was stunned for a moment and quickly turned sideways. She didn't dare to let Louis see her face. It's okay, no matter what you become, you are still my favorite. Best friend. Louis held her slender shoulders, gently pulled her pretty face, and looked at the marks on her pretty face. There were several light red slap marks on Fu Rong's fair and pretty face. In addition, there were deep crescent-shaped marks all over her arms, which looked like they had been pinched with fingernails. It must be painful. Louis said with a distressed look on his face as he gently stroked Fu Rong's scarred hands. It doesn't hurt very much. It'll be fine once you're here. Fleur said softly. When your confinement is over, let's go find those witches to settle accounts together. This time I am stronger when I go out, and I can make those witches look good without a wand. Ah! It's getting bigger again. Fu Rong opened her mouth in surprise. Yes, I also hunted a brown bear when I went out this time. I'll show it to you when I get back. When Louis walked out of the solitary room, the old wizard had disappeared, leaving Sophie standing outside with a nervous face. Louis had been in the solitary room for 10 minutes, and they would not do anything inappropriate for children in it. Something? Sophie decided that she would confess to Louis when he came out. Chapter 22. Why are you here? Is it possible that you are following me? That's right. Listening to Sophie's affirmative answer, a trace of panic flashed across Louis' face. He just wanted to deceive Sophie, but he didn't expect that she actually agreed directly. Do you still remember this clan emblem? Sophie took 2 steps forward and pulled out a necklace from under her clothes. Hanging on it was the clan emblem that the big man gave to Sophie before he left. Why do you have the emblem of our Lestrange family? Could it be? Louis swallowed, and a figure appeared in his mind. It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? Are you a crybaby? He asked tentatively. Sophie's eye circles instantly turned red. I knew it was you, Big stinky guy. He actually forgot about me. The girl cried and threw herself into Louis' arms. The hands that couldn't find a place to place them waved in the air for a while, and then fell on the girl's back that was shaking slightly from sobbing. She has become a big girl, and she still loves to cry as much as before. Louis said with a smile. Humph. It's not because of someone who promised to come see me, but as a result, I've been waiting for 4 years and 7 months and still haven't heard from you. Sophie stopped crying, pouted her red lips, and looked at her with resentful eyes, which made Louis panic. Didn't that happen to my father and the others later? Then I was so busy that I forgot about it. The dissatisfaction on Sophie's face became more and more intense. She was so busy that she forgot about it. Didn't Miss Sophie want to save face? By the way, I remember you are not yet 11 years old this year. Why did you come to Beauxbatons Academy? Louis quickly changed the topic and continued chatting on that topic. He suspected that he would be killed by Sophie's eyes. Isn't it just to find someone? Sophie looked at Louis with an increasingly resentful look. After learning that Louis was admitted to Beauxbatons Academy, she spent a lot of effort to get her father to agree to send her to Beauxbatons Academy. If the Lestrange family hadn't strictly guarded the news about Louis and not allowed any photos with Louis' appearance to be leaked, she would have recognized Louis long ago. Well, it's getting late. How about we go back to the dormitory to change clothes and then have a meal together in the cafeteria? Bitter, Louis secretly thought in his mind. He originally wanted to change the topic, but unexpectedly it changed directly to Lay. He had no choice but to change the topic again. Okay, come on, I don't know where your dormitory is yet. Sophie didn't want to stay here for a long time, just because there was a strange woman named Fu Rong here. Little Sophie, I mean to go home and change clothes. I don't have any clothes suitable for you in my dormitory. Louis said with some embarrassment. It's okay, just ask the house elf to deliver it when the time comes. Louis, who couldn't find a reason to refute, smiled bitterly and led Sophie towards the villa. Louis, are you going the wrong way? Which way should you go in Dongcheng district? Sophie pointed to the notice board not far away and asked curiously. If she read it correctly, this should be the way to Baikan district. That's right, my dormitory is in Baikan district. The college has built an independent villa specifically for me. You will know how good it is when you arrive. They were talking and laughing all the way back to the villa. Before Louis could open the door, Bei Long, who had just turned 3 months old, smelled his scent and ran to wait behind the door, abandoning Catchy and the rice balls. It was as if this guy had eaten gold carrot. In just over a month, his weight increased, more than doubling his previous weight. As soon as Louis opened the door to the villa, the tiger-headed little guy immediately ran to his feet and rubbed Louis' calf with his hair that wasn't too long. Ah! Is this your pet? It looks so silly. Sophie squatted down and gently stroked Bai Long's snow-white flowing hair. Even though it looks silly now, when it grows up, will it be even more silly than it is now? Excluding the huge size and ferocious temper of adult Tibetan Mastiffs, there is nothing wrong with what Louis said. Tibetan Mastiffs are just big fools, and they need to be paired with a funny face. Catchy, come and help me entertain the guests. I'll go change my clothes first. By the time Louis changed his clothes and returned to the living room, Sophie had disappeared. Only Catchy and a strange house elf were left chatting in the living room. It seemed that Sophie had gone to change clothes. At exactly 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Sophie, wearing a white princess dress, appeared in the inner city holding Louis' left hand. Her personal talent show will be held in a teaching building. MRS. Maxim, the 9 teachers of this year's Little Wizards, and the seniors who had free time, almost all of them came. That damn bitch from Fleur actually cast a slug curse on me, wow. The witch lying on the hospital bed felt nauseated. She quickly took the trash can from the bedside and spit out a slug full of mucus. Hearing the sound of her vomiting, the 3 witches sleeping next to her vomited out a lively slug, as if they were infected by her. Last night, after Fleur used magic to defeat them, she cast an enhanced version of the slug curse on each of them. The effect of the spell has been maintained until now and has not been lifted yet. This is the magic potion to remove the slug curse. Take it and drink it. Longzi came from the door carrying 4 bottles of magic potion. This was a curse-removing potion that he had put in a lot of effort to customize from the market. Very few potions masters could refine this kind of curse-removing potion. Not to mention the high refining cost, the actual usefulness was frighteningly low. There is no need to buy magic potions as the matter can be solved with just 1 spell. It's a pity that they couldn't ask any professor to help. The senior who knew how to curse immediately made the same choice as the professors after learning about the conflict between them and Furong. Thank you Longzi. Parvati, the freckle-faced witch, took the potion from Longzi's hand and looked at him with gratitude. Hurry up and drink, you will return to normal after drinking. Then you can continue to torture Fleur and vent your anger for me, Longzi added in his heart. By the way, I heard that the woman was only imprisoned for 1 day and will be released soon. Long Xi said casually. What? Just lock her up for 1 day. This is so unfair. One of the witches said angrily. Isn't this good? Tonight, we can take revenge on her severely. Parvati's suggestion aroused the unanimous approval of the other 3 witches. That's right. Then we'll stop her on her way back to the dormitory and let her try out the snot curse. Another witch added that after hearing what they said, Longzi looked normal on the surface, but in fact he was laughing in his heart. Chapter 23. According to the Academy's regulations, every 38 hunting points can be converted into 1 total score. Apart from him, the second place is Sophie with 23 points, and the third place is a black wizard with 21 points, followed by a long list of scores of more than 10 points or even a few points. The lowest score was 5 points, and the professors gave him a consoling 5-point total score for the unlucky guy who broke his leg as soon as he appeared. Many little wizards looked at Louis provocatively. As long as they had outstanding talents, they might have the chance to beat Louis and become the first. Then Louis made them understand what true genius meant. Not only did his combat power overwhelm them, but his secondary profession also reached the level of junior potion master. Beast, brute, the wizards present were secretly cursing Louis that he was not a human being, and classified him into a column that should not be messed with. 120 points was Louis's final score. He was the only student in this class to score over 2 points. Sophie, rank No. 75, scored 3 points. Sophie showed off her superb cooking skills and made a dish on the spot that could help the wizard restore his magic power, which won unanimous praise from the professors. Beauxbatons College is different from the other two colleges in Europe. Under the influence of Mr. Nico Flamel, she encourages students to develop different interests and hobbies, and as a result, many wizards who are good at logistical support have been born. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Louis walked to the small confinement building alone. Sophie went back to the dormitory. She didn't want to see the intimate scene of Louis and Fleur, muttering something about going back to pack her things and move into Louis' villa. At the same time, 4 witches headed by Parvati took action. They held magic wands and ambushed Fleur on her way back to the dormitory. Look at them, who are they going to target again? SHH, keep your voice down, they are looking over. What's there to be afraid of? At 23, except for a few righteous wizards and a bunch of guys who like to watch the fun, many young wizards have left. Here they come. The wizards who wanted to watch the excitement cheered up, and after waiting for more than 20 minutes, the real owner finally arrived. 2 figures walked out of the west gate side by side and walked slowly towards the ambush site. The ambush location chosen by Parvati and others is the only way to get to the girls' dormitory area. There is only one road in Zikin district that can reach the girls' dormitory. The other paths are either dead ends or roads to other places. Why don't we go to your villa first? Fleur said a little unnaturally. The group of young wizards who wanted to watch the fun made her understand that Parvati and others were probably waiting for her and Louis there. Go back and pack your things first before leaving. After saying that, Louis walked towards the place where Parvati and others were ambushing him. He hadn't gone to find these guys to settle accounts yet, but he didn't expect them to come to the door themselves, and they happened to pack them up together. Hey! Louis, wait for me! Fleur felt warm in her heart. Besides her father, Louis was the first boy she felt she could rely on. Holy crap! It's the big devil! Why is he here? If it were him, there should be something good to watch. The group of first-year freshmen immediately became commotion. Many of them had been taught by Louis and were deeply impressed by his strange powers. Breaking down a small tree with one punch, killing a yellow sheep with one slap, these are all Louis's specialties. It's him, Parvati, who was ambushing on the left side of the road, also recognized Louis, the little wizard who taught Longzi a lesson in the wizard's market that day, the son of the famous vampire devil. Parvati subconsciously clenched her wand, as if only the wand in her hand could give her a sense of security. Everything is petrified. Parvati took the lead. Among the second-year spells, they only learned rapid appearance and fluorescent flash, and their attack power was not as good as the petrification spell they learned in the first grade. Of course, for an academic like Furong, she has already learned various powerful spells from the library. Sisters, come together, defeat this kid first, and then deal with Fleur. After hearing what she said, the other 3 witches no longer hesitated, and different colors of light lit up on their wands. Legs stopped dead. Passed out. Eat slugs. The last spell was the slug charm that Fleur used to punish the 4 witches. The one who got the spell would spit out slugs in the mouth for the next few hours. The 4 witches learned it all afternoon, and only the last one learned the slug charm. The speed of magic release in the wizarding world is generally very fast. In many cases, it's not that wizards don't want to hide, but that they simply can't escape and can only fight with magic spells. Louis moved his body left and right, and after narrowly escaping the petrification spell he was familiar with, the ball of light representing the tripping spell hit Louis. The moving legs were forcibly locked by a force. Driven by the inertia of the body, Louis fell heavily towards the marble floor. Both the slug curse and the sleeping curse took this opportunity to hit Louis. Is this the power of the curse? No matter how much Louis struggled, he could not break free from the power of the leg-trapping curse. The force that directly acted on the rules ignored his resistance and forced Louis' legs to close together. The feeling of being unable to resist shattered Louis's mysterious confidence in his physical strength. No matter how powerful he was, the spell that acted on the level of rules could never be resisted by physical strength. What Louis didn't know was that the witch who cast the tripping spell turned a little pale. She felt that a small part of the magic power in her body disappeared instantly, and every time Louis struggled, some of her magic power would disappear. This is a very common spell casting technique. Whenever a wizard finishes using a spell and does not cut off the connection between himself and the spell, he will continuously draw magic power from his body to maintain the effect of the spell. When the strength of the enemy and ourselves are not much different, the continuous effect is enough to give the wizard an advantage in the battle. But when there is a huge difference in strength, the magic power required to maintain magic is likely to drain a wizard of all his magic power, leading to his death. Stop the curse. Fl's spell arrived in time, and the power that bound Louis' legs, causing him to feel dizzy and vomiting, was immediately lifted by Fl's spell. After returning to normal, Louis put his hands on the ground, rolled twice on the ground, bent over and rushed towards Miss Parvati who was closest to him. Louis knows very well that when it comes to using magic spells, he and Fleur are definitely no match for the 4 second-year witches. Even if their total magic power and spell proficiency are not as good as Fl's, they are not comparable to Louis, a first-year freshman. Chapter 24. Only by breaking through to them and destroying at least one witch first could he and Fleur have a chance of winning. Leg stop dead. Parvati and the witch standing next to her cast a leg-breaking spell together. The next moment the 2 light balls appeared, they hit Louis 8 meters away. Louis fell down again. This time he did not try to break away from the spell. Instead, he adjusted his posture in the air and stretched out his hands forward, preparing for close contact with the ground. His strong hands made 2 shallow slap marks on the marble street. Louis' body rotated 360 degrees in the air and landed firmly on the ground. Passed out. The witch ambushing on the right finished reciting the spell at this time, and the sleeping spell happened to hit Louis under the control of the witch. Very sleepy, just as the power restraining his legs disappeared, another force acted on Louis. This force made him more and more tired, and he felt like he could fall asleep at any time. The curse stops. Fleur once again cast the spell-breaking magic to help Louis remove the sleeping spell from him. At this time, Louis was still 7 meters away from the 2 witches on the left. When Louis regained consciousness, his mind moved, and the talent earth barrier opened automatically. He had 9 seconds to open it. Passed out. Witch Linda, the one who initially cast the leg-twisting spell and had a lot of magic consumed by Louis, took action again. This time she did not choose the leg-breaking spell, but used the sleeping spell. She never wanted to experience the feeling of magic being consumed for no reason again. Feeling tired again, looking at Louis who couldn't help but nod and might fall down at any time, Parvati had an expression of joy on her face. Fleur, who had only used the stop curse once, could not use it a second time in a short period of time. She wanted to see how Louis could remove the power of the sleeping spell without Fleur's help. His eyelids were getting heavier and heavier, and Louis felt like the whole world was spinning. If the earth barrier hadn't reduced the power of the sleeping spell by 90%, he would have fallen asleep at this time. No, I can't fall down yet, Louis used his last bit of strength, and the salty, bitter rusty feeling exploded in his mouth. Stop the curse. The wand mixed with Vila hair almost created an afterimage. Parvati, who had been prepared for a long time, waved the wand, and the ball of light formed by the sleeping curse collided with the curse. The pain at the tip of his tongue woke Louis up. At this time, except for a few first-year students, the rest of the wizard's attention was entirely on Fleur and Parvati. Boom! This was the sound made by Louis stepping on the marble floor with such force that, centered on the foot he stepped on, spider web-like cracks spread all over the marble floor. By the time Parvati reacted, Louis, who was sprinting with all his strength, was already 3 meters away. Without even using 50% of his strength, Louis pushed Parvati several meters away. The moment she fell heavily to the ground, Louis was already behind another witch who turned around and ran away. His right fist turned into a palm and lightly patted her unprotected back. The witch lost consciousness while she was still in mid-air. Wow! The wizards watching the excitement were excited. They didn't expect Louis to cripple 2 second-year wizards so easily. After dealing with both of them at once, Louis turned to look at the 2 witches on the right and gave them a terrifying smile. His white teeth were stained red with blood, and there were several long blood streaks between his lips. He looked almost like a legendary vampire. Linda and the other witch subconsciously took a few steps back, waving their wands tremblingly in an attempt to stop Louis from approaching. As the spells were lifted one after another by Fleur, looking at Louis who was gradually approaching, and then looking at the unresponsive companion lying on the ground, the witch beside Linda collapsed, leaving Linda behind and fled to the dormitory alone. Devil! He is a devil! The witch kept mumbling these words while escaping. Longzi Marino, who was hiding in the crowd, heard the words, and his eyes burst with excitement. Looking at the thick group of wizards around him, Longzi cleared his throat. I remember. He is the young master of the Lestrange family, the child of the vampire demon. What? He is the child of a vampire demon. Vampire demon? What is that, a vampire? Damn vampire devil, she was the one who took away the lives of my parents. And my neighbor's brother. Louis turned his head and fixed his gaze on Renzi Marino, who was guiding public opinion to the side that was unfavorable to Louis. Down with the vampire demon. Longzi, who noticed Louis' gaze, shouted this slogan before the time was right. The wizards who were watching the excitement hesitated for a while, and a few slogans appeared scattered among the crowd, all coming from Longzi's 3 subordinates. They cooperated with their boss and shouted desperately. With their unremitting efforts, the slogans became louder and louder, and the uniform voice echoed throughout Zikan district, attracting the attention of many wizards. Facing Louis' gaze, Longzi, who was standing in the center of the crowd, grinned and made a gesture on his neck with his hand, making a provocative gesture. It's good to be angry, the angrier Louis is, the happier he is. He likes to see Louis' aggrieved expression where he wants to kill him but can't do anything. You, very good, wait for me. Facing Long Xi's words, Louis silently turned around and returned to Furong. I'm sorry Louis, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't. Fleur said guiltily. What are you talking about? Even if you want to blame, you can only blame that guy Longzi. What does it have to do with you? Smiling a gentle smile in front of Fleur, he had already decided to write a letter to Anne when he got back, asking her to find an opportunity to target the Marino family and try to get rid of it at once. Louis wanted to see what Longzi could do to fight him without the protection of the Marino family. Quiet. The belatedly arriving patrolling professor put his wand against his throat, and his voice was suppressed by the amplifying spell to suppress the voices of all the young wizards. The patrolling professor first found a reasonably sane third-year wizard and learned the ins and outs of the whole thing from his mouth. Feeling that the matter was difficult, the professor quickly sent a magic letter to invite Mrs. Maxim. Under the mediation of this lady, the wizards who blindly followed the crowd gradually calmed down. Longzi in the crowd shrugged and dispersed along with the wizards who returned to normal. Anyway, his goal has been achieved. Starting from tomorrow, the name of Louis, the son of a vampire demon, will be spread in the academy. First destroy Louis' reputation, and when most people in the college start to hate Louis, he can openly target Louis. Chapter 25. You. Alas, I can't give you much help in this matter. Just wish yourself well, boy Louis. After saying that, Mrs. Maxim cast the apparition spell and teleported the 2 witches who fell to the ground to the school doctor's office. You go pack your luggage first, I'll wait for you here. Louis' face was gloomy, and it was hard to tell what he was thinking. Give me 10 minutes and I'll be right back. Fleur, who didn't know how to persuade Louis, thought for a while and decided to follow Louis' suggestion and move things out of the girls' dormitory first. Linda is Furong's roommate. At first, her relationship with Furong was neither too good nor too bad. It was an ordinary roommate relationship. However, when she fell in love with Parvati and others, Furong's life in the dormitory gradually became unsatisfactory. On the day when the first-year students started hunting, Fleur had originally set her alarm clock, but Linda changed the time without telling her. She also colluded with Parvati and the other 3 to block Fleur from going out. Will you come back in the future? Linda asked with a look of embarrassment as she helped Furong pack her luggage. Probably not. Furong replied lightly. When she ran back to the dormitory, Linda had already returned to the dormitory. Take care along the way, and I'm just sorry, I shouldn't have accompanied them to bully you. Fleur carried the box and walked out the door with a surprised expression on her face. She didn't expect Linda to apologize to her. I accept your apology. You can take care of yourself in the future. It's almost 9 o'clock, why hasn't the big guy come back yet? In the living room of the villa, Sophie was holding Bai Long in her arms, with a depressed expression on her face. She would have gone out with Louis if she had known. Woof! Woof! The white dragon, who was held in Sophie's arms, suddenly shouted, broke away from Sophie's arms and rushed to the villa door. It smelled the scent of its owner. Why did it take so long to come back? Hey, who is she? The moment the door of the villa was pushed open by Louis, Sophie, who pretended to be unhappy, came out of the villa to greet her. However, when she saw Fleur, her expression instantly became real, and she was just like the one who was furious. He glared at Fleur like a kitten. You must be Sister Sophie. My name is Fleur. Fleur Delacour is Louis' friend. Fleur smiled bitterly and said that she did not expect that her first contact with Sophie would turn out like this. As a woman, she clearly sensed Sophie's hostility towards her. So you are Sister Furong. You are so beautiful. No wonder the big man has been thinking about you. Sophie glared at Louis fiercely and said to Furong with a smile. Sister, I'm joking. Compared with my sister, I'm not that good looking either, but you, Louis often mentions my sister to me. Ahem. Let's go in first. It's not good to stand outside the door all the time. Louis coughed twice, interrupting the tense atmosphere between Sophie and Furong, picked up Bai Long and walked into the villa first. Humph. Sophie and Fleur snorted at the same time and walked into the villa side by side. In addition to rice balls and white dragons, there is also a fluffy golden retriever in the villa. She is Sophie's pet and is already 2 years old this year. Leo, come to mother quickly and ignore them. Sophie said with a cold face, ignoring Louis in the living room, and walked upstairs with the big golden retriever named Leo. Damn big guy, stinky big guy, you actually brought another girl home and ignored you. As Sophie walked upstairs, she complained about Louis in her heart. Let's go, find a room to put your things down first. Louis had anticipated this situation when he decided to take Fleur back to the villa. He was not a stupid person. Louis could still understand the relationship between Sophie and him and Fleur. When they walked up to the second floor with their suitcases, the door of a bedroom next to the master bedroom had been closed. Judging from the light coming from the crack in the door, Sophie occupied this room. More than 2 months have passed in a flash, and we have arrived at the second weekend of December, the last week before the Christmas holiday. Sister Furong, help me get the carrots quickly. Once this dish is ready, Louis can be served. After more than 2 months of getting along, the relationship between Fleur and Sophie went from being indifferent to each other at the beginning to the harmonious coexistence they have now. Mr. Longxi played a lot of role here. Yes, it was Mr. Longxi Marino. If he hadn't tried his best to slander Louis, annoyed Sophie and Fleur at the same time, and transferred the conflicts between them to himself, the relationship between the two of them might still be as tepid as before. Thanks to Mr. Marino's disdainful efforts, Louis' reputation fell to the bottom just like the Marino family. Although it didn't reach the point where everyone cried out, it still aroused the anger of many wizards and professors. As an emerging family, the Marino family's biggest source of income is smuggling contraband. However, under the double blow of Anne and the Marceau family, the Marino family's business has declined increasingly during this period. The family was having a hard time, and Renzi Marino, who was the culprit, was naturally also very upset. Not only did the family cut off his financial resources, they also asked him to apologize to Louis and ask for Louis' forgiveness. Longxi was mentally prepared to apologize. A man can bend and stretch, but he couldn't see Louis at all. The three of them walked home after class every day, and even ate their meals in the villa, without giving Longxi a chance to apologize. What, are you worried? Looking at Louis' frown, Fleur asked curiously. Do you still remember the pendant that the old goblin gave me? This afternoon, it lit up when I was refining the potion. As he spoke, Louis took out a sapphire necklace from his pocket, which shone with warm blue light from time to time. Hey, no matter what, let's go eat first. I'm already starving. Putting the necklace back into his pocket, Louis pushed Fleur into the kitchen and helped Sophie bring out the prepared dishes. What's wrong with you two? You're so absent-minded during the entire meal. Are you hiding some secret from me? By the way, don't forget about tonight's activities. Today is their last day at Beauxbatons College this semester. The three of them are going to explore the forest garden in their free time after dinner. At around 6 o'clock in the evening, heavy snowflakes slowly fell from the sky, covering the ground with a thick layer of silver-white snow. Carrying their own wands and wearing white wizard robes, the three Louises walked out of the villa. They didn't plan to bring any pets, not even a white dragon weighing more than 30 kilograms with a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain. Chapter 26. Northwood Park, spanning the entire northern part of Beauxbatons Castle, is an enchanted forest growing on the top of a mountain, providing a home for many magical creatures. The villa is located in the front half of the forest garden. Forest rangers often come here to inspect, and dangerous magical animals rarely appear. At least Louis and the others have not seen a single magical animal in the 2 months they have lived here. However, the destination of this expedition is different. They plan to go deep into the second half of the forest garden and personally experience the life of magical animals. In short, they are seeking death. Continuing to advance along the path trodden by the forest ranger, More than half an hour later, the three of them reached the end of the path. What appeared in front of them was a black stone monument about 7 or 8 meters high. Inside the stone monument is Beauxbatons Academy, and outside is the magical animal living area they expected. Louis walked at the front holding a lantern, Sophie in the middle, and Fleur at the back. The three of them stepped past the stone monument without hesitation and entered the wild area where rangers rarely set foot. The snow fell heavier and heavier, and the footprints of different shades were soon filled with snowflakes. The rangers patrolling the forest garden did not find the footprints left by the three Louises, so they ended their work early and returned to the warm cabin. This brought great convenience to the journey of the three Louises. After walking through a series of downhill sections, they came to a relatively gentle and unfamiliar jungle, and there were gradually more magical animals around them. "Look ahead." Louis, who was walking at the front, suddenly stopped and whispered to Fleur and Sophie to look ahead, where a group of moon-crazy beasts were dancing on their hind legs under the moonlight. After admiring the unique dance of the moon-crazy beasts for a while, the trio headed deeper under the leadership of Louis. While the lantern in their hands illuminated their direction, it also attracted the attention of a group of hunters. Jiligwalaji ali hwala. A large group of dwarfs with green skin and speaking a strange language poured out from all over the forest and surrounded the three of Louis. They are the overlords of this forest, cannon fodder-level creatures that often appear in Western fantasy novels, and a group of Highland goblins who go out hunting. If you look carefully, you will find that these green dwarfs have tiny downy hair floating on their bodies. This is a change they have made to adapt to the environment and use the downy hair to keep their bodies warm. Goblins are extremely adaptable creatures, and they can be found wherever there is food and air. In recent years, due to the crackdown by the Ministry of Magic of various countries, goblins are almost invisible in the Muggle world. These dirty green-skinned creatures can only be seen in a few wizarding territories. Be careful, there are at least 80 goblins surrounding us. Fleur, who used the humanoid detection spell, said that in her spell perception, they were all goblins in front of them, on the left and on the right. Charge! Grab the three humans in front. Goblin language, the largest goblin waved his bone club, and all the goblins swarmed under its command. The strength of these green-skinned dwarves is directly proportional to their number. The greater the number, the greater the strength they can exert. In ancient Europe, hundreds of goblins under the leadership of a leader were enough to wipe out a small human village. It's night now, and this is the forest that the goblins are most familiar with. It would be disadvantageous for us if a fight breaks out. We don't know how many goblins are surrounding us, so we'd better retreat first. Calculating the strength gap between the enemy and ourselves, Louis said, "There are too many goblins. Let's retreat while fighting. If we really can't defeat them, send a message to ask someone to come rescue us." The three of them dared to go to the forest to seek death, so they were naturally prepared for failure. They carried several alchemy communication charms with them, and if they encountered danger, they would send a message to someone to rescue them. Following Louis's order, the three of them stepped back together, releasing the magic spell while withdrawing their hands. The flames are coming. The fireball landed in the center of the goblin army, instantly burning 3 goblins to death. The scalding heat caused nearly 10 goblins around them to lose their fighting capacity. Oolong out of the hole. Fleur used the snake summoning spell to summon a 2-meter-long poisonous snake. After biting 3 goblins, the poisonous snake was smashed into pulp by the goblins with wooden sticks. Sophie did not use any magic spells. Apart from a petrification spell, she had not learned any offensive spells. With the alchemy spell in her hand, she could send edited messages at any time. "I'll be the main attack, Furong will cover, and Sophie will be ready to respond. If something goes wrong, just send a message and call someone." Louis judged again. Like Sophie, Fleur had not learned any large-scale offensive spells. Instead of wasting her magic power on the snake summoning spell, it was better to save her magic power and use it in more critical positions. After retreating dozens of meters, Louis finally waited for a good opportunity for the goblins to gather together. He only has 54 magic points and can only cast Fireball twice in a short period of time. He must use these 2 opportunities to greatly reduce the goblins' vitality. "Fire is coming!" Louis chanted the short version of the curse again, and the fireball flew toward the goblin leader holding a bone club at the end of the goblin team. Wow! Before the fireball could take action, the goblin leader, who sensed the danger, quickly picked up the skinny member of the same tribe on the side and threw it towards the fireball that was still in mid-air. The fireball was detonated by the unlucky goblin, and the high-temperature liquid splashed around, causing many goblins to scream, and the entire team became chaotic. Now, let's go. Taking advantage of the opportunity that the goblins had to protect themselves, the three Louises quickly turned around and rushed towards Beauxbatons Academy. Wow! Damn that human kid! Goblin language, the goblin leader cursed, waving his bone stick to urge his men to reorganize. They ran all the way for a long time, until they passed the place where the moon chi beast was dancing and returned to the inside of the giant monument. The panting Louis and the three of them stopped. That's it. They probably won't be able to catch up. Louis waved his hand, signaling Fleur and Sophie to stop. Oh, I'm so tired. No matter what you say next time, I won't come out with you. Sister Furong is right. Sophie agreed, completely forgetting that the idea of exploring the depths of Linyuan was proposed by herself. By the time the three of them rushed back to the villa, it was already 1:30 in the evening. The villa was quiet and all four pets were asleep. After a brief wash, the three of them dragged their exhausted bodies back to their respective rooms, and fell asleep soon after. On December, the day after the expedition ends, Beauxbatons Academy officially has a holiday. The young wizards who decide to go home will leave the academy in an orderly manner within the next 3 days. Chapter 27. Aren't you going to invite your two confidants to go home and play for a few days? You are such a playboy. The silver-white sports car was racing along the winding mountain roads. Anne, who was sitting in the driver's seat, held the steering wheel with one hand and asked casually with a woman's cigarette in her free hand. Louis in the passenger seat did not answer, his mind was filled with the scene that happened not long ago. The two fathers, the elegant and easygoing Mr. Delacour and the lion-like domineering Mr. Ryan Marceau, appeared at the door of the villa at the same time with gloomy faces. They didn't speak. Just standing there made the atmosphere at the scene extremely cold, and the tit-for-tat momentum was all on Louis. His piercing gaze made him feel numb all over, fearing that they would ask, "Which one do you want to marry, my daughter or his daughter?" Fortunately, neither father asked such a fatal question, allowing Lu scumbag Yi to escape. "What are your plans for coming back this time?" Bored Annie asked again. "Plan? Just make the magic potion as before, and then take some time to learn the magic spell. Studying the potion notes, learning powerful spells, and analyzing the first exercise are the most important things for Louis during this holiday. He plans to use this holiday to complete at least 2 of the above 3 tasks. In addition to these, even the 2 pets were entrusted to others by Louis. The rice balls were taken home by Fleur and Beilong, and Leo stepped onto the Marceau family's carriage. "Then let's go traveling together. Go skiing in the Alps, go to a small island in Norway to see the northern lights." "No." Before Annie could finish her words, she was interrupted mercilessly by Louis. He didn't want to spend time in those places. "How can there be such a boring wizard like you in the world? You don't even know how to cherish this wonderful holiday." Angrily, Annie stepped on the accelerator. She had constructed a panoramic view of the trip in her mind, but Louis didn't say a word about it. "Hey! Drive slower, we're going to hit you." "You're going to hit us." A slow-moving classic car appeared in front of the sports car. I'll go to the head office." The moment before the collision, Annie turned the steering wheel to the left and muttered a levitating spell. The silver-white sports car slid out of an S-shaped curve on the road and flew past the classic car's body. "Madman! You want to kill me, don't you? I just didn't agree with your suggestion. Is it necessary to drag me to seek death?" Louis, who was still alive after the disaster, gasped for air, stretched out his right hand tremblingly, pointed at Anne and said, "Oh, coward! I recorded what you just said. We will go to the Maldives in 2 days." In a space different from the real world, Louis' depressed expression appeared on the calm water. A white-haired couple looked at this scene with smiles. "Look at the expression on his face, it's exactly the same as when you were young." The white-haired woman covered her mouth and laughed. "You? How many years have passed, and you are still holding on to those things from back then?" A trace of discomfort flashed across the old man's face. "Yes. How many years have passed, it's time for us 2 remnants of the era to find an opportunity to retire. Do you think he is qualified to bear that secret?" "Do not know." The old man shook his head. He could only say that Louis was qualified to be one of the candidates after breaking through the Zagician vision when he was a formal wizard. He couldn't decide who would be responsible for it at the moment. "We have to choose someone to replace us, whether it's Dumbledore or Grindelwald," or the little guy on the screen. Dumbledore and the others are strong enough, but they both went astray. Alas! The woman sighed, what a pity for those two guys. In the early 20th century, when the world was changing, a group of amazing young wizards emerged in the wizarding world, the most outstanding of whom were Dumbledore and Grindelwald. He became a 6th-level wizard at a young age and reached the ceiling of the mortal world. His combat power was comparable to that of many old guys who lived in seclusion. The most important thing is that the relationship between the two of them is excellent, so good that it goes beyond the normal brotherly relationship and has an ambiguous feeling. The couple were moved, and they found an opportunity to appear in front of Dumbledore and Grindelwald, asking them to take over their responsibilities at the cost of immortality and a way to break through to the 7th-level wizard. That is, guarding the god of death, guarding the alien creature that almost wiped out the entire wizarding civilization and was sealed in the dark underground by the ancient wizards. Two young wizards with worldwide ambitions readily took over the responsibility, but they wanted to find another way to gather the power of all the wizards in the world to defeat the god of death and completely eliminate him. Nico and his wife were persuaded by them, and told them the secret method of breaking through the 7th-level legendary wizard, and made a promise to dedicate their strength to the day of the crusade against the god of death. The crusade was named after Grindelwald, and was known as the Grindelwald Army, later known as the Saints Organization. The next day at Velina International Airport, not long after the plane landed, 2 passengers were missing from the cabin. Maybe it was because the location was too remote, or maybe it was for other reasons, but no one on the plane noticed their inexplicable disappearance. Aren't you afraid that the Ministry of Magic will come to arrest you if you cast the disappearation spell in public? On a deserted beach, Louis asked with dead fish eyes. This is the Maldives. It's not Paris. How could the French Ministry of Magic come to control me? The inability to enforce laws across borders is a major flaw for the Ministry of Magic in various countries, but they have no way to solve this problem. Since Grindelwald was defeated and experienced a brutal wizarding war, with the active or passive promotion of wizards from various countries, the wizarding world has gradually formed a loose alliance of the Ministry of Magic, dominated by the Ministry of Magic of each country. The Ministry of Magic can only manage matters within its own country and is not allowed to interfere in any affairs of other countries. This is to ensure that a dictator like Grindelwald will not appear again in the wizarding world. Powerful forces such as the United States Ministry of Magic can only handle domestic wizarding disputes. Whenever guilty wizards escape abroad, the International Aura Organization can only take over and handle them. This may be a bit cumbersome, leaving many dark wizards with hope of escape, but it will not destroy the entire wizarding civilization under the leadership of a dictator. At the end of the First Wizarding War, had the White Wizard Dumbledore not successfully defeated Grindelwald, the wizarding world would have been destroyed by Grindelwald. This is the view of most wizards and represents the resistance of the entire wizarding community to dictators. That night, after playing with Annie all day, Louis suddenly woke up while lying in bed. He had received an invitation not long ago. Chapter 28. To be precise, Louis received an invitation from Nico Flamel in his dream. If you are willing to come to my alchemy hut and chat with me about some secrets of the ancient wizarding world, please put your right hand on the inheritance necklace. At the end of the dream, the old man who claimed to be Nico Flamel said this. Debating whether to go or not, Louis took out the sparkling sapphire necklace from his pocket and sat back on the bed. He was not sure of the old man's identity. If it was some kind of plot to seize his body and be reborn, it would be terrible if he put his hand on it. Well, no matter what, if a person dies and a bird looks up to the sky, he will not die for tens of millions of years. The next moment he placed his right hand on the necklace, a suction force burst out from the necklace, transporting Louis to an alchemy cabin located in a certain space. In the spacious and bright living room, the white-haired Nico Flamel sat on the edge of the small coffee table, holding a teacup and said, "Good night, Mr. Louis Lestrange, would you like to sit down and have a drink with me?" "Good night, Mr. Flamel, it was my pleasure." Following Nicholas Flamel's instructions, Louis sat on the other side of the coffee table. As soon as he sat down, the teapot placed in the center of the coffee table flew up automatically, pouring Louis a cup of fragrant black tea. "You may still be wondering why I invited you here. You are right, Mr. Flamel. I am just an ordinary wizard, and you are a legendary figure. It is difficult for me to imagine why you would invite me." "Oh no, of course not. My child, you are not an ordinary wizard," Nico Flamel said with a smile, stroking his long white beard. Louis suddenly became alert, and his left hand under the table tightly pinched the root of his thigh. Could it be that he had discovered the secret of the system? Don't be nervous, kid. You still remember the inheritance necklace. It was a gadget I made casually more than 80 years ago. With that said, Nico Flamel waved gently, and the sapphire necklace flew up from Louis' hand and landed on his wrinkled right hand. There are some interesting little spells on it, which can collect things worth recording around. It can be regarded as a means for me, an old guy, to observe the inheritors. Nico Flamel clicked twice in the air, and a light blue light curtain suddenly appeared in the air. The picture on the light screen was exactly the scene in the cave when Louis broke through to the official wizard. In the ancient wizarding period, wizarding civilization was countless times more powerful than it is now. At that time, wizards called the sights that appeared when they broke through to become formal wizards. The picture on the light screen constantly changes with Nico Flamel's explanation, showing the powerful wizard civilization in ancient times in front of Louis one by one. What are the various schools of technological wizards, body transformation streams, and elemental streams, as well as towering wizard towers, wizard cities suspended above the earth, giant cannons that destroy stars with one strike, and legendary wizards that destroy the world. The strange phenomenon that appears on you is called Zagician. It means that as long as you don't die, you have a high probability of becoming a 7th level legendary wizard, and you may even be promoted to the legendary 8th level wizard king. Louis swallowed hard. The scene in the ancient wizarding world was very similar to the Wanja Flow wizards who colonized other worlds in some wizarding novels. You must want to ask, why is the wizarding world so weak now when the ancient wizarding civilization was so powerful? Louis nodded. Could it be that all the ancient wizards have left and gone to a higher level world, or was it destroyed? It shouldn't be. If it was destroyed, the current wizarding world would probably no longer exist. The story begins with an alien creature called the God of Death. The ancient wizards took it in, hoping to get away to another world from it, and then... After listening to Nico Flamel's talk for a long time, Louis finally understood the reason for the demise of the ancient wizards. To put it simply, the ancient wizards got out of their way. After inviting the God of Death, they found that they could not deal with it, and they also dragged down other civilizations, including the immortal civilization. The rest of the civilizations fled and perished. Finally, with the joint efforts of the cultivating civilization and the wizarding civilization, a wizard king disappeared and hundreds of legendary wizards died in battle, finally sealing away the God of Death. Before the high-level wizards who had returned from victory had time to celebrate, someone disappeared during a dinner party, and with him the cultivation method leading to a higher realm. At the same time, the immortal cultivating civilization announced its retreat, and all the immortal cultivators entered a subplane called Heaven. That year was called the Year of the Fall of the Gods, and was also called the first year of the Christian era by Muggles. It has been 980 years until today. For nearly 2,000 years since then, except for the secret method that the Keeper of Secrets organization has to break through the 7th level legendary wizard, there is no other secret method in the world to break through, and I am the contemporary Keeper of Secrets. Just like when he faced Dumbledore more than 60 years ago, Nico Flamel took out a simple and exquisite bronze medal with the 2 characters Keep Secret written in small seal script on it, which was written by an ancient immortal. I'm already old. Even the alchemy stone can't continue to extend my life. But the secret keeper is not old yet. The God of Death will always exist if he doesn't get rid of the secret keeper. So, the keepers of secrets, in Nico Flamel's narration, are the secret walkers who guard the God of Death. They only recruit those geniuses who are expected to become 7th level legendary wizards, and Louis is the genius he is optimistic about. Why me? Dumbledore or Grindelwald, couldn't they be the keepers of secrets? After being silent for a long time, Louis suppressed such a question. In his opinion, even if Lao Deng is not a legendary wizard, he is still a talented wizard who is qualified to become a legendary wizard. In any case, he is better than a little wizard like him. There are also Grindelwald and even Voldemort. These 3 guys are rare rivals in this century. No matter who they are qualified to become legendary wizards. If Louis remembers correctly, in the original Harry Potter books, Nico Flamel and Dumbledore had a very good relationship, and they were friends before the start of World War II. You should have heard of Grindelwald's army. It was the wizarding coalition that Dumbledore and Grindelwald gathered together to defeat the God of Death. What? Louis exclaimed in surprise. Wasn't that the army that Grindelwald used to lead the wizard revolution and unify the world? How could it become a coalition to conquer the God of Death? Everything was good at first, until Obscurus, a creature created by death that affected the world, possessed Dumbledore's sister Ariana. Recalling that regretful past, a painful expression appeared on Flamel's face for the first time. Obscurus is a creature that has existed in the wizarding world for a long time. Wizards never knew why it was born until the day Ariana broke out. Chapter 29. At that time, there were 3 legendary wizards on the coalition side, making it the most powerful wizarding world in the past few hundred years. The last time was when Hogwarts was founded. 4 legendary wizards who were keepers of secrets established Hogwarts and passed down their lifelong ideas there. It was a normal argument, caused by Aberforth Dumbledore wanting to know the reasons for the formation of the alliance. He had argued with Grindelwald many times on this issue, but people around him just regarded it as a usual argument. They used magic to attack each other playfully. In the battle between the 7th level legendary wizard and the 5th level elite Auror level wizard, Grindelwald had to work hard to suppress his power to prevent his spell from hurting Aberforth. At the end of the fun, Ariana, who was standing by and watching, exploded. Controlled by Obscurus, she unleashed all her magic power at once, almost wiping out half of the main coalition force, and she herself died as a result. At that time, no one knew that this was done by Obscurus. They just thought that the battle between the two of them had stimulated Ariana. Dumbledore, who loved his family deeply, reluctantly broke with Grindelwald. The first crusade failed. After that, the Flamel couple and the frustrated Dumbledore withdrew from the coalition, and the coalition followed Grindelwald and travelled to many countries. Nico Flamel didn't know much about what happened during this period. He only knew that when the coalition forces appeared again, they had become Grindelwald's private army. With the goal of transforming the wizarding world, they set off revolutions across the United States and Europe, and committed numerous blood debts. The army that should have been used to defeat the god of death was instead used to weaken the living forces of the wizarding world. Nico Flamel was deeply saddened when he learned the news, but having lived for more than 600 years, he was no match for an emerging legend like Grindelwald. His body was already aging and could not withstand the intense legendary battle. Later, Grindelwald went to the United States and found another Obscurus owner. From him, Grindelwald discovered the connection between the Obscurus and the god of death. Full of joy, he told Dumbledore the news, hoping that his lover would return to him and jointly lead the army to attack the god of death. As a result, Dumbledore not only did not return to him, but also fought with Grindelwald, who became increasingly extreme. The battle between them was called the First Wizarding War. After a legendary battle that could be called a miracle, the defeated Grindelwald was imprisoned by Laudeng in the highest level of Nurmengard. Following him, Grindelwald's mind was distorted by him. The army was also imprisoned there. So that's it. Lewis took a sip of black tea. Grindelwald and Dumbledore. For a moment, he couldn't tell who was the good guy and who was the bad guy. Please let me be a secret keeper. I may not be very good at defeating the god of death, but if you let me pass on this spirit, I think I can still do it. Lewis said softly. Good boy. Can you give me a little magic? Hearing this, Lewis guided a trace of purple magic power and gathered it on the index finger of his right hand. Nico Flamel took out a slightly smaller bronze medal of the Keeper of Secrets from the space bag, and pulled Lewis' magic power to inject it into the bronze medal. Before the ancient immortal clan retired, they helped the wizards refine 10 secret keeper tokens. This is your identity certificate. If you don't understand anything, just transfer your magic power into the certificate. The secret transmission method above will bring you here. You can come to me at any time to ask me or browse the books here. The moment magic power was injected into the bronze medal, a weak connection was established between Lewis and the bronze medal. He felt that he could control the bronze medal and absorb it into his body to warm it up. Is there anything else you wanted to ask, kid? Mr. LeMay, can you tell me the specific medicinal effects of moon shadow grass? This. Lewis and Nico Flamel talked all night long, most of the time about potions. Lewis had a hunch that as long as he digested all the knowledge he learned tonight, even if he did not become an intermediate potion master, he would not be far from the intermediate realm. Oh my god! You are a pig, you are still sleeping at 9 o'clock. In the Maldives, Anne pinched Lewis' nose and woke him up from his sleep. Is it 9 o'clock? Lewis yawned loudly. He returned to the hotel at about 7 in the morning and lay in bed until now. If Annie hadn't disturbed him, Lewis felt that he could still sleep for 7 or 8 hours. Ignoring the angry Annie, she walked to the bathroom. After taking a cold shower, Lewis followed Annie out of the rental hotel. They were going fishing on the sea today. Oops. You walk faster, otherwise the good spots will be taken by others. Annie, who felt that Louis was walking too slowly, complained. "Get on the yacht, set sail, throw down the fishing rod," and the boring day passed slowly like this. In the next few days, Louis traveled around with Anne during the day, catching up on sleep when he found the opportunity. At night, after Anne fell asleep, he teleported to Nicola Flamel's cabin to ask him for various knowledge. Until December 25th, the day of Christmas, Anne and Louis took the time to return to the castle. Compared with Anne's large pile of gifts, Louis's gifts were very few, only a dozen or so. Among them, Fleur gave him an alchemy watch, which Fleur personally selected and refined. The gifts Louis gave her were souvenirs purchased during this period and a copy of Mr. Flamel's alchemy notes. Sophie's gift to Louis is a box of carefully prepared magic chocolates. Each chocolate has a different taste. The only thing they have in common is that they are delicious. The gift Louis gave her was a wizard's recipe book, which was a professional cookbook for a small group of professional gourmet wizards in ancient times. It recorded many ways to incorporate magic into dishes or ingredients into magic spells. Anne's gift is a ring with a powerful obstacle spell and a powerful defensive spell fixed on it, which can be cast once a day. The gift Louis gave her was also an ancient book, Gemstone Wizard, which uses the magic contained in various gems to enhance the effect of spells, or directly uses gems to cast magic, which is especially suitable for RMB players like Anne. Mr. Flamel's gift to Louis was a palm-sized space bag that could not contain living animals, but the internal space was larger than an indoor football field. Madame Flamel's gift to Louis was a wizard's robe that she had sewn by herself. Well, the material was made of dragon skin, or the skin of the most powerful fire dragon in the 15th century. On December 31st, after an afternoon of strolling around the British village of Hogsmeade, Anne and Louis returned to the castle again. Chapter 30. It's impossible not to come back. Without Anne as the acting head of the family, many things in the family cannot be dealt with. The pile has long been as high as a mountain. Anne will be very busy in the next period of time. There are still 7 days until the start of school. Except for the potion study, which has been overachieved, the other 2 of the 3 goals have not been started. I need to spare some time in the next few days to study the Goblin Dictionary. Turning on the system and projecting an ancient Goblin Dictionary that only he could see in front of him, Louis compared the Goblin words used in the practice and translated them word by word. Every time a paragraph is translated correctly, the corresponding Goblin text on the exercise will be converted for Louis to learn. Until now, he has translated 1/3 of the exercise. On January 1990, Beauxbatons Academy officially opened. By the time Louis arrived at the villa, Fleur and Sophie had already arrived at the villa. The first person to greet him was still Bai Long, followed by the increasingly beautiful Fleur and Sophie. "Why are you here? The dinner is about to start," the 2 said in unison. "I accidentally forgot about it." He was mainly busy translating the exercises. He translated from last night to early this morning. After translating the last bit, he went to sleep for a while. "I'm really impressed with you. Put your things down quickly and pack them up after you come back from the dinner party." As she said this, Fleur helped Louis take over the luggage. In the college auditorium, Renzi Marino's face was full of tangles. He spent this Christmas vacation in the college because the Marino family had disappeared. Being jointly targeted by the 2 major families, coupled with internal family conflicts in Italy, the Marino family was wiped out by their enemies on the day before Christmas, leaving him alone in the whole Marino. There are only 2 choices before long xi. One is to endure it, change his name, and never be able to return to his hometown and grow old slowly under the pursuit of his enemies. The other is to take revenge and then usher in the end. Thousands of young wizards were divided into different groups, more or less gathering together to chat about interesting topics. Many of them mentioned the Marino family, and the look they gave Longxi made him feel uncomfortable. A bunch of guys watching the excitement, damn it, Longxi cursed secretly in his heart. When the 3 Louises walked into the auditorium, more eyes were directed at Longxi. Many wizards who knew the inside story looked at Longxi as if they were joking, wanting to see what he would do in front of his enemies. To their disappointment, Longxi not only did not stand up to provoke Louis, but also begged Louis for mercy in a flattering tone. "Master Louis, I beg you, can you let the villain go?" As he said this, Longxi knelt down on the cold floor under the disgusted eyes of the wizards. Louis narrowed his eyes. He was not afraid that Longxi would come up to him rashly. The layers of protection on his body and the professors in the auditorium were enough to protect Louis. He was afraid that Longzi was a smiling tiger and would give in on the surface but secretly use his tricks. Moreover, in full view of the public, it was difficult for Louis to ignore Longzi, and he had to agree to his request, otherwise his reputation in the academy would suffer another big drop. You can't help it, Senior Longzi, we don't have any conflicts. How can we forgive or not forgive? Louis took the initiative to come to Longzi, held his hands on his chest, and pulled Longzi up from the ground. But my family, Master Louis, my family has been destroyed, me. I don't want to die. As he spoke, a few hypocritical tears shed from the corners of Longzi's eyes. The little wizards in the hall who didn't know the truth were confused by his performance, and they all accused Louis. As expected of a vampire demon, even his family was wiped out by others. If you speak so loudly, aren't you afraid that he will also destroy your family? Oops, too much force, Longzi secretly complained in his heart. Although he did have the idea of ruining Louis' reputation, he even wanted to win Louis' forgiveness. It was unlikely that his enemies from far away in Italy would come to Beauxbatons Academy across the country to frame him, but as the local gangsters of France, the Lestrange family wanted to punish him, a second-year wizard, with ease. The reason why he wanted to give in to Louis in the hall was because he wanted to use the pressure from the wizards around him to get Louis to agree, even verbally. I'm sorry about your family's affairs, but it really has nothing to do with me. But please don't worry, our Lestrange family will never bully any innocent wizard. Louis slightly emphasized the word innocent. To be honest, he was a little unhappy with Longzi's actions, and even more unhappy with the impact of this action. I understand, I made a mistake about junior brother Louis, I'm sorry. Longzi quickly turned around and walked deeper into the crowd. When things got to the point where they were just now, what Louis said was the best answer he could give. As for winning forgiveness, that was impossible. After experiencing this episode, the good mood brought to Louis by deciphering the first section of the exercise was completely ruined. A depressed Louis came to the corner of the auditorium accompanied by Fleur and Sophie. That guy Longzi is so annoying. He keeps slandering Louis behind his back. Furong said with a pretty face. Yes, yes. Father should have sent a few killers to kill him directly. This was Sophie's murderous voice. No, 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 we are all classmates. No matter whether we kill him or not, the most we can do is break a few of his legs. Breaking 3 of his legs and 1 right hand was the end that Louis had planned for Longzi. Forget about him, how was your vacation? Annie and I traveled half of the world, and we didn't finish our trip until a few days ago. Before going on the trip, he thought that traveling was boring and that it would be more fun to learn potions at home. After seeing the northern lights and experiencing the snowy scenery of sliding from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain, Louis felt that this trip seemed pretty good. You're still talking about it. My family originally planned to go on a trip after Christmas, but the cookbook you gave me was so interesting that I didn't get to do anything during my trip outside. Sophie waved her little fist and gave Louis a gentle hammer. The whole family was playing outside, and then she looked at the cookbook outside. After playing around, she didn't see any scenery. Instead, she read the cookbook several times. I'm okay. By the way, that notebook you gave me is really Mr. Flamel's alchemy notebook when he was young. The knowledge recorded in it is so interesting. Fleur pulled Louis' sleeve and asked. She was similar to Sophie. After receiving the gift from Louis, she was completely attracted by the alchemy notes not long after. The alchemy knowledge recorded in it went from shallow to deep, and analyzed alchemy step by step. Thorough. Chapter 31. Originally, she could only be regarded as an alchemy enthusiast and a senior alchemist apprentice. After these days of study, Fleur felt that she was about to become a junior alchemist. Of course, the ancient books given to you are all authentic ones carefully selected by me. He shamelessly asked Mr. Flamel for his alchemy notes, and he found the recipes from ancient books collected by secret keepers of all generations. How could it be true? That's too precious. Fleur was slightly stunned. Nico Flamel's alchemy notes can be called the most precious treasure in the alchemy world. Welcome back, my dear students. After a wonderful Christmas break, we gather again on the beautiful Beauxbatons campus. There are still 2 months until spring break. During these 2 months, wizards in the 6th and 7th grades will prepare for exams, and wizards in other grades can prepare for the campus art festival. I am not afraid of making you laugh when I say this. I am already looking forward to the art festival. School art festival? Does our college still have this festival? Louis asked doubtfully. Oh my god, didn't you read the freshman orientation handbook? You don't know such important things. Sophie covered her forehead speechlessly. She didn't even know about the campus arts festival. Louis, a Beauxbatons student, must be too incompetent. The campus art festival is the most important festival in our college. It is one of the 3 major magic festivals in Europe along with the Quidditch match at Hogwarts and the Wizarding Duel Championship at Durmstrang. Fleur rolled her eyes at Louis and explained in his pleading eyes. The art festival lasts for a week, usually the last week before spring break, and is held in the student market. All students can rent shops in the market to sell their own works, Sophie added. During the week when the festival is open, not only wizards on campus, but all wizards who have passed identity verification can enter the student market to appreciate and purchase the products there. In the past, many seniors were spotted by businessmen at art festivals and spent a lot of money to buy their inventions. In addition to money, you can also get honors at the art festival. You know the famous pastry chef Luc Milferi, he first became famous at the art festival. Sophie and Fleur each told Louis everything they knew about the campus art festival. So, are we going to the festival this year? After hearing what Louis said, Sophie and Fleur looked at each other. According to common sense, lower-level wizards generally do not participate in the art festival. Only those wizards who have achieved success in alchemy or medicine refining will participate in the art festival. But for the 3 Louises, any one of them is qualified to participate in the art festival, not to mention. I remember, we have a shop, right? Louis said looking at Fleur. There is a place to sell goods, there are people to make goods, and with a few good ideas, they can participate in the art festival. You? Have a shop? Sophie's eyes lingered on Louis and Fleur. Why didn't she know about this? Yes, it was a store given to Louis by a goblin when school first started. It is in the old neighborhood northeast of Fangxi. Fleur rushed to explain. When school first started, no wonder she didn't know it. Sophie had a look of realization on her face. Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, let's take some time to take a look. That shop needs to be tidied up before it can be used. At this time, the aroma of food wafted into the auditorium. The house elves used magic to transport the prepared food to the long table in the center of the auditorium. Soft symphony music echoed over the auditorium. I knew you were here. I have already delivered the food. Please enjoy it slowly. A lot of steaming dishes appeared out of thin air on the small round table, and then the elf Durami appeared. All of them were made by him himself. Wow, so many delicious foods, are they all made by you, little Durami? That's right, Sophie, come and see if my skills have improved. During the time you've been home, I've learned all the skills you taught me. Durami raised his little face proudly. With the cooking skills taught to him by Sophie, Durami has become the master chef among the house elves of Beauxbatons Academy. Many elves are asking him for cooking skills. With elegant movements, he cut off a small piece of grilled pork chop. By this time, Louis had already finished a whole portion of pork chop. Well, the heat is just right. You seem to have added a little sesame in the sauce, which makes it more fragrant. It's suitable for a guy with a strong taste like Louis. After tasting the steak, Sophie commented. As expected of you. I'm going to work first, and I'll come and learn from you when I get the chance. Go and do your work first. Goodbye. As the 3 people said goodbye, Durami teleported back to the busy kitchen, where dozens of house elves were busy, and they were responsible for the food of the entire auditorium. Once something is eaten or goes cold, they are replaced with the same thing to ensure that every wizard can enjoy the most delicious food. Why don't we go back first? It's boring to stay here. Louis suggested after eating. His proposal was approved by Sophie and Fleur, and the 3 quietly slipped out of the auditorium. If we really want to participate in the art festival, what should we sell? As they walked, they discussed the art festival. I don't know, but I think Fleur can refer to Muggles' technological products, and Sophie can also consider Muggles' food to see if she can get inspiration from them. Game consoles, Fat House Happy Water, and spicy sticks, as long as one of these things is brought into the magical world, Louis feels that he will make a profit. It's not that he is complaining, wizards have too few entertainment options. Apart from wizard chess and Quidditch, beer is the only thing that can arouse the interest of wizards from all over the world. Food for Muggles. Sophie tilted her head and thought for a while. The wizarding world of cakes existed, as did the wizarding world of beer and liquor. What else could she learn from? For example, this one, Muggles call it Fat Boy's Happy Water. I think it's very valuable for reference. Louis took out 3 bottles of Coca-Cola from the space bag. When he was traveling outside, he specially bought more than a dozen boxes of Happy Water and various spicy snacks, filling almost half of the space bag. And this, the Street Fighter game console. In addition to all kinds of food, Louis' space bag also contains all the game consoles on the market and a lot of dollars. Even if he is exiled to a wasteland without human survival, he can still survive for half a month on the food in his space bag. Chapter 32. This can't be the legendary space bag. Fleur pointed at Louis' space bag and said. Well, I wanted to wait until I got back to tell you. Yes, this is the space bag. It was a Christmas gift given to me by Mr. Nico Flamel. Puff, Sophie, who was drinking Coke, spit out a big mouthful of Coke. Ahem, you mean Nico Flamel? Wasn't he a wizard from more than 600 years ago? Is it possible that the legend of the alchemy stone is true? According to the family records of the Marceau family, Nicolas Flamel had died long ago. Although it was rumored that he appeared several times, no real evidence was left behind each time to prove that the person was Nicolas Flamel. Yes, your gifts and the potion notebook that Fleur gave me are all from Mr. Flamel. Speaking of which, I have to thank Fleur. If you hadn't given me the potion notebook, I would never have met Flamel. Where is Sir? Fleur, who was walking beside Louis, said nothing. She was still confused until now. It's like a physics enthusiast. One day, a good friend told him that Einstein was still alive. He had only had tea with Einstein 2 days ago, and he would probably be confused. Do you have a picture of Mr. Flamel or something? He is my idol. Please Louis. Help me. Fleur pleaded. Compared to Sophie's doubts, as an alchemy apprentice, she believed that Nico Flamel was still alive. Is extending lifespan difficult for alchemists who understand the world? Well, I don't have the photo here, but the space bag was made by Mr. Flamel himself. It also contains some pastries made by Mr. Flamel. I will give it to you to eat when I get back. When she heard that there were pastries to eat, Fleur couldn't wait and took Louis' left hand, took him and Sophie and ran towards the villa. Nicolas Flamel? Interesting. Somewhere, the dark figure who had been paying attention to Louis said to himself. Hurry up and take out the pastries, and tell me all about your experience with Mr. Flamel. Fu Rong, the star-chasing girl, said domineeringly. This was the first time Louis and Sophie had seen Fleur like this. Sophie, who originally wanted to accuse Fleur of sneaking away and pulled Louis' hand in front of her, backed down. It was better not to offend her. Well, it was in a hotel in the Maldives after a day of fun. That night, after Sophie and Fleur fell asleep, Louis activated the teleportation circle on the bronze medal of the Keeper of Secrets. He had not disturbed Mr. Flamel for 7 days. Since he began to decipher the first section of the exercise, Louis had suspended his trip to Mr. Flamel's residence and did not resume it until today. Good evening, Master, I'm here to bother you again tonight. In Mr. Flamel's cabin, the old couple were not sleeping at this time and were sitting on chairs drinking afternoon tea. At first Louis was called Mentor, but later he felt that calling him Master was more comfortable and smoother. Mr. Flamel, who was well informed, also knew that this term originated from the East, and did not ask Louis too much in this regard. Little Louis is here. Your master and I are still talking about you. You haven't been here for 7 or 8 days, right? Perennial Flamel, Mr. Flamel, said with a smile. Yes, I have been busy with other things these past few days, and Master has already talked enough about potions, which is enough for me to digest in these days. In the past 10 days, he had been asking questions related to potions, and finally met a master in potions. Louis, who had not experienced the teachings of a famous teacher since he was a child, naturally could not miss the opportunity to learn potions. Then why are you here this time? Mr. Flamel asked with some confusion. I have a friend who likes Master very much and is a loyal fan of yours. After knowing that I met you, she has been asking me to take a photo of you so that she can look up to her. That's right, the main purpose of Louis' visit this time was to take a photo of Fleur. For this reason, he specifically asked Keiki to send him the SLR camera that was left in the castle. Haha, she is your little girlfriend. Yes, she knows how to please girls better than your master when he was young. Mr. Flamel was stunned for a moment, but Mrs. Flamel said with a chuckle. A little embarrassed, Louis stuck out his tongue and put his right hand unnaturally behind his head. Why are you still standing there? Come over and take pictures. After being reminded by Madame Flamel, Louis quickly took out his SLR camera, adjusted the focus, and took first a personal photo of Mr. Flamel, then a group photo of the two elderly people and a series of photos with study decoration. After shooting, he developed the film. The whole process took him more than 40 minutes. Mr. Flamel admired Louis' actions in the simple darkroom with great interest. The last time I encountered a photo studio. At that time, taking pictures still required a big box. I didn't expect how convenient it is now. Nico Flamel lamented that since he witnessed the fallout between Loudeng and Grindelwald, he has rarely gone out, and his understanding of the world of ordinary people still remains before World War II. Yes, ordinary people's lives have been turned upside down in recent decades. New technologies emerge every year, becoming more and more advanced and automated. When you and your wife are free, you can go out more often and see the changes outside and before. Go out when you have time. After a long time, Mr. Flamel's low reply was heard in the silent dark room. You don't have to worry about me. I shouldn't bother you during this period of time. I will come to you when I have digested the knowledge or need to learn new spells. Louis quickly said that he did not want the Flamel couple to stay in the cabin waiting for him all day, as that would be too cruel for the two old people. Haha, you brat. If you have any questions, don't come to me. Go to the library and read it yourself. Mr. Flamel laughed and cursed, throwing a thick thing into Louis' arms. This is a curse that has been lost to the outside world. I have helped you get rid of the ones with serious side effects and ineffective effects. You can just watch and learn the rest. Just don't spread it randomly. Thank you, Master. Louis felt warm in his heart when he heard the care in Mr. Flamel's tone. Get out of here, you bastard. By the way, leave your camera and film, and get out of here with the magic book. With a wry smile, Louis took out the SLR camera, and took out all the films on his body from the space bag. After stacking them neatly, Louis activated the formation and returned to the villa. The full title of the book in his arms is Magic Classics. The thick book contains approximately 1,000 spells. These are the spells left after Mr. Flamel has exorcised most of the spells. Louis took a rough look at it. The first spell was called the Grease Curse, which summons a pile of grease. This spell is used in many wizard novels in conjunction with the Fireball spell to achieve a group attack effect. It was the first spell recommended to him by Mr. Flamel. Secondly, there are other famous magic spells such as Earth Trapping Spell and Earth Stabbing Spell. Chapter 33. The spells become more difficult the further you go, but the higher difficulty does not mean that you are strong, it just means that Mr. Flamel does not recommend Louis to learn these spells. For example, Nine's transformation spell can turn oneself into a woman. Not only is it extremely difficult, but it is also very useful. It was already 2:30 in the morning. After looking at the time, Louis reluctantly put down the grimoire in his hand, put it into the bottom layer of the space bag, kept it properly and fell asleep. The last class on Monday afternoon was the Transfiguration class. Louis, Sophie, and the other 18 wizards from Class A sat down early in the Transfiguration class. Good afternoon, dear little wizards, today we will continue to learn the transformation spell. Before that, please put your Christmas homework on the table. Transfiguration teacher Martin walked into the classroom. He was a serious old wizard. He once turned the student into a suckling pig because he failed to complete his homework on time, and made him listen to the whole class in the form of a suckling pig. If I say I forgot to bring it now, it should still be too late. Louis' head was covered with cold sweat. He was having so much fun during the holiday that he completely forgot about his homework. You didn't do your homework, right? Sophie tapped Louis' waist. After receiving his affirmative reply, she curled her lips silently. She knew that Louis had forgotten to do his homework again. I really impressed you. Let's go. I made an extra one during the vacation. Sophie took out another transfiguration homework from her pocket. She knew that Louis would probably forget the homework without anyone reminding him. This stuff. Oh my God, you must be the angel sent by God to save me. If it weren't for the class, Louis would have really wanted to go up and hug Sophie to celebrate. Today we continue to learn about the transformation of objects. The object of transformation is the table in front of you. Let me demonstrate it first. After checking the homework, Professor Martin stood back on the podium and said, "The wooden table changing spell is Cambe Puzilanso. The specific gestures and attention requirements are on page 1 of the textbook." As Professor Martin explained, he waved his wand to turn the thick wooden table into a glass goblet. His teaching method focused on books. After performing magic a few times, he slowly sat back on the chair and let the little wizards study by themselves. If you don't understand something, you can ask him, but it is impossible for him to take the initiative to find out the problem for you or tell you where you are wrong. He will only cast the transformation spell again. The students need to figure out what he did wrong. After the class, except for some guys who loved the transfiguration class and were talented in transfiguration, the rest of the wizards were still at the step of casting magic. Wizards with good progress, such as Sophie, can already make the table smaller, while wizards with poor progress, such as Louis, are not yet familiar with the gestures. In the 3 transformation spells, the gestures were wrong twice, and the remaining one was successfully released under Sophie's guidance. After class, they walked to Fangxi. Furong had no class this afternoon and had already gone to Fangxi to clean up the shop. When Louis and Sophie arrived, the surroundings of the shop had been reinforced with stone walls, and the air leakage was much less noticeable than the last time they came here. "You guys are here. A little more trimming will probably come in handy," Fleur said with a smile. Keiki hired people to strengthen the walls, including the interior and various things needed to open a store. Keiki and his elves helped. Louis and the others were more like leaders who came to observe and inspect. "Master, this is a store template designed by the best designer in the family." Keiki handed over a 3-dimensional view of the store. The entrance is a spacious corridor with a row of product display cabinets on both sides. The bottom of the corridor is a counter, where Louis and the others will receive customers. According to the instructions on the drawing, the display cabinet and the lockers at the back will be cast with anti-theft magic. You can only take it out of the store after taking it to the counter to remove the magic. The store also has a magic induction array. Once someone casts magic in the store, they will be sensed by the array, thus alerting Louis and the others. It should be good. Louis has never opened a store and doesn't know how to run a store. With his layman's level, he can't find any problems. Handing the 3-dimensional diagram to Sophie, and after looking at it casually for a few times, the girl handed it back to Kachi. She couldn't find anything wrong with it. "Isn't this our new big devil and his little wife, what? Do young masters and ladies like you have time to open a shop?" Johnson Gower, a freshman who had his hand broken by a brown bear, among all the Beauxbatons students, he and Longxi were the 2 people who hated Louis the most. He hates Louis even more than Mr. Longxi. Due to his poor performance in the field hunting stage, he was assigned to the worst class E, and he was also the student with the lowest score in the class placement competition. This made him completely hate Louis, including Sophie, who had a good relationship with Louis. If Louis had not chased the black bear that day and Sophie had not been hit by his petrification spell, his left hand would not have been interrupted by the brown bear's last blow before its death. Not only did this make him the laughingstock of the entire college, all the students knew that he wanted to steal someone else's prey, but he was injured by the prey and broke his hand. It also caused him to perform abnormally in the talent stage and got the lowest score in his age, 10 points. "I said who has such a bad mouth, it turns out to be you, Mr. Broken Hand Johnson," Louis said sarcastically. Johnson clenched his fists, and his most annoying nickname was shouted out by the most annoying person, "You bastard, how did the vampire devil give birth to you back then? Could it be with the devil in hell?" Before he finished speaking, his mouth was sealed by a force. Johnson clasped his hands on his mouth, but even with the strength of sucking milk, he couldn't open his mouth. "How dare you insult the Lestrange family?" Kutch walked out with a dark face. As a servant of the Lestrange family, the reputation of the master's family was tarnished, which was a slap in the face. "House elf," he actually brought his family's house elf into the academy. "You're done, you bastard." Johnson was extremely happy when he saw the Raven clan emblem on Kutch. The Beauxbatons school rules stipulate that outside magical creatures are not allowed to be brought into Beauxbatons without any reason. Violators will be punished by being detained for 7 days and deducting 1 grade from their final grade. As long as he reports this matter to the college, Louis' ranking will be lowered 10 places from his original ranking during the final exam, making him comparable to half of the students in the class. "You're done." After raising his middle finger at Lewis and provoking him fiercely, Johnson turned around and ran towards the Academic Affairs office. He was going to report Louis Lestrange for secretly bringing his family's house elf into the academy and still letting it attack Beauxbatons students. Chapter 34. "Master Louis, do you need me to keep him?" Kutch reached out and wiped his neck, asking Louis if he needed to kill the escaped Johnson. "No, let that kid go." Louis was slightly ashamed, but it was just a small conflict, there was no need to escalate it to the level of murder and silencing. Before Kachi and the others entered Beauxbatons College, they had already applied to Principal Maxim and the school board to join the school through their family connections. At this point, Johnson could not embarrass Louis at all. In the next few days, after the class, the three Louis would go to the small shop and walk around a few times, watching their shop take shape little by little. The small store with the traceless telescopic charm has an internal area about the size of a basketball court, a soft starry sky ceiling, and an atmospheric yet exquisite interior layout. The small cubicle behind the counter is connected to the underground shop, which is arranged as a rest area. You can rest underneath when there are no customers. Saturdays, the days without classes, are always relaxing. Normally, they would do their own things at this time, reading books or refining potions. Today, the three of Louis gathered together to discuss what products they wanted to sell. What Louis wanted to prepare was a petrification potion. In the magic novels he had read in his previous life, the petrification potion could turn the wizard's skin into stone and improve the wizard's defense. He is still in the imagination stage about this. The blood of the basilisk and the petrification spell will be Louis' reference objects. He wants to find out the key points of making people petrified from these things. Sophie followed Louis' suggestion. She planned to use the knowledge she learned from magic recipes to find several magic plants from the magic world to extract a soda that tasted similar to Coke and could also make wizards feel happy. To this end, she will learn the soda manufacturing process in the ordinary world and strive to prepare a magical soda unique to the wizarding world as soon as possible. Among the three of them, only Furong could not make up her mind after discussing for a long time. She did not plan to alchemize the game console, because neither she nor Sophie liked fighting and killing games like Street Fighter, and they were not optimistic about the future of the game console. "How about?" Louis suddenly thought of a good idea. "Come and help us analyze the materials. To refine petrifying potions, you need to extract petrifying factors, to refine magic soda, and to extract substances that make wizards happy from plants. These are exactly what alchemy is good at." Alchemy, as the name suggests, is the magic of changing the type of matter and refining ordinary things into gold. Refining magic props is a branch that developed later. Understanding the origin of all things is the main body of alchemy. "Hey, this is a good idea." Sophie was the first to agree, and then Fleur also nodded, agreeing to Louis' request. After determining the direction of production, the three people immediately decided to go to Student Square City, where they would purchase enough raw materials for research. Duelin's Corner, France's largest magical animal breeding family, the material sales store opened by the Duelin family is the busiest store in Student Square City. There are so many people. Looking at the crowded crowd in front of her, Sophie couldn't help but sigh. The door of the store was crowded with students. Those who had bought goods wanted to get out, and those who had not bought anything wanted to go in. The 3-meter-wide door was blocked with water. "How about we buy somewhere else? There are too many people here." Looking at the crowded scene, Furong instantly lost the idea of going into the store to buy. Like them, many wizards who wanted to participate in the art festival chose Saturday to come to the market to buy raw materials. Some of them are senior wizards who make finished products and purchase raw materials to expand their warehouses, and there are also junior wizards who, like the three Louises, want to experiment and innovate. There were many first-year wizards here, and Louis saw at least 2 familiar faces in the crowd, both of whom were classmates in their class. Turning to another street, before approaching the raw material sales shop, Louis and the other 3 were frightened by the sight in front of them. Just like Duolong's Corner, the wizards here were piled up in front of the shop, almost forming a hill. After shopping for a long time, they found a slightly normal store. There was a long queue outside the small store. The wizards entered the store in an orderly manner and walked out of another door in an orderly manner. After waiting in line at the end of the queue for about 10 minutes, it was finally their turn. Following the instructions of the goblin at the door, the 3 of them walked into the shop opened by the goblin. The space in the store is not large, and there are only 10 wizards active, including the 3 Louis. Every time one goes out, someone will come in to replenish the store. It can be less but definitely not more. It seems relatively spacious. Is there basilisk blood here, or other body parts? After searching around, Louis couldn't find basilisk blood, so he had no choice but to go to the counter to ask the goblin. If you can't buy it here, you can only ask Keiki or Annie to help find it. Basilisk. The goblin pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, first looked at Louis' clothes, and then said after making sure that he had enough financial resources. Very few people want that thing. There is no basilisk blood in this store, but if you want it, I can find someone to send some over. That's the price. A Philistine smile appeared on the goblin's face. It was silently calculating in its heart whether it would be better to increase the price by 30% or 3 levels. Get the blood first. If it's really fresh, I'll give you a satisfactory answer. The goblin narrowed his eyes slightly and looked Louis up and down again. Is this guy definitely a student? He didn't reveal anything about him. He was quite experienced. After a while, a goblin that looked very similar to it brought the basilisk blood. After a few words of exchange in goblin language, the goblin handed the blood to the shop owner. Come and take a look, young wizard. This is the blood left by the only basilisk in the past 10 years. It was kept by us not long after it died. Name, canned basilisk blood. Status, obsolete/loss of magic power. The attributes of the basilisk blood appeared in front of Louis. He looked around and found that among the 7 bottles of basilisk blood, except for one that was in a fresh state, the other 6 bottles were in an old state. I want this bottle, you can take the other bottles back. Picking up the bottle of fresh basilisk blood, Louis said to the goblin. How could he tell? Is it luck? The old goblin's heart was filled with huge waves. Unexpectedly, Louis picked out the best bottle of basilisk blood as soon as he came up. It was right. One of the bottles of blood was extracted just 7 years ago. It was the corpse of a basilisk that had been frozen just after death. It was the freshest. The remaining 6 bottles are all from their store's inventory, some are over 100 years old, and some are in the last few decades, with the effects mostly lost but definitely not visible on the outside. Chapter 35. My little friend, you have such good eyesight. You picked out the best quality bottle of blood right away. The goblin who brought the blood praised. It's just luck. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. Please give me a price. Louis pretended to be excited, as if he was just lucky and had accidentally fallen into the trap. There are 10 gu units of basilisk blood in the bottle. The market price is 17 gold galleons per gu unit. However, you are ordering urgent delivery. I can accept the charge of 20 gold galleons per gu unit. The goblin bypassed the shopkeeper. Said slowly. Basilisk blood is too niche. Very few medicines use basilisk blood. If it weren't for the difficulty of killing the basilisk and the scarcity of the product, the price might be even lower. Okay, and let's give you a price for the herbs my companion has on hand. Pointing to the herbs in Sophie's hand, she had already prepared the magical plants she needed. They were all plants with hallucinogenic effects or good sweetness. 3 magic mushrooms, 3 galleons, 10 night weeping grass. A total of 293 galleons, 16 kilos, and 11 nuts. Just give me 293 galleons. The goblin shopkeeper calculated for a while, and said after erasing nearly 1 galleon of sickle and gnat. Without dwelling on such a small issue for too long, Louis quickly took out his wallet, found 293 galleons and handed it to the goblin shop owner. Why not use the eyes of the basilisk? Sophie asked curiously as she watched Fleur perform a series of tedious operations. Eyes are the organs of basilisk petrified creatures. If you want to extract the petrifying factors, eyes should be better than blood. The number of eyes is too small. If you want to make petrifying potions on a large scale, blood is the best choice. Fleur explained as she poured the prepared separation potion into the container in front of her. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the dark red basilisk blood was divided into 3 layers, upper, middle, and lower under the influence of the magic potion. Furong poured the 3 layers of liquid into different containers. This was the first step to separate cells and plasma. The most useful one is the plasma layer, which is the top layer and contains various magic substances. Take out 3 drops of plasma and drop them into the alchemical evolution device that is half a room in size. Adjust the evolution type to a basilisk. After placing the energy source, the evolution device will start running automatically. The evolution device was temporarily borrowed from the Academy. There are only 7 such devices in the entire world. It is said to be an alchemy item left behind by fairies in ancient times. It can simulate the magical operation of most creatures and even wizards in the wizarding world. The source of magic power is wizard currency refined by goblins. Each currency contains different amounts of magic power, and the value of the currency is divided according to the amount of magic power. To activate the evolution device once, 100 galleons are needed to provide magic power, which is really not something ordinary wizards can afford. Beep. This was the sound that indicated the evolution was complete. The mouse was placed on the experimental table, and following the instructions in the instruction manual, Furong pressed a red button. Bang 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 bang. The sound of the machine's movement frightened the mice on the experimental table. They ran around with their short legs and could not escape from the experimental table. Immediately afterwards, a grey lightning-shaped light beam shot out from the raised part of the evolution device, covering the entire experimental platform. After the light beam disappeared, a vivid stone sculpture of a white mouse appeared on the experimental table. Great, the first step is basically successful. Come on Furong, you can definitely do it, Fleur cheered herself up in her heart. This is her first time to separate matter. Most alchemists may never come into contact with such advanced alchemy equipment as the evolution device. It is simply too expensive, and most of the substances needed for modern alchemy were analyzed by wizards in ancient times. Even the blood of the basilisk was studied by ancient wizards, but they did not develop a suitable magic potion, and the properties they discovered were not passed down, so Fleur needed to appear to study it. After confirming that the petrochemical factors are in the plasma, the next thing to do is to separate the plasma substances and experiment step by step to find out the required factors. This process may take a long time, or it may be very short. It all depends on Furong's luck. It wasn't until the weekend 3 weeks later that Fleur found the magic substance Louis needed from the last bit of plasma separation fluid. During the entire process, the evolution device was turned on more than 30 times, and more than 3,000 galleons were turned into useless dirt. In scientific terms, it is a special protease. When simulating a basilisk, the protease will release a strange power to petrify the enemy. Next, Louis will study the conditions for petrochemical protease to take effect and use suitable potions to make it work. He divided the research process into 2 steps. The first step was to prepare a chemical that would petrify humans or animals. The second step was to control the degree of petrification so that only the surface part was petrified. You came. Yes, here I go again. The goblin shopkeeper took out a few bottles of basilisk blood from under the counter. In more than a month, Louis bought basilisk blood from him 13 times, almost emptying out the fresh basilisk blood in their store. Wrap these 3 bottles for me. Do you have any other basilisk blood? You know, the art festival is coming soon. Picking out 3 bottles of basilisk blood that were in good condition, Louis asked. He had developed a petrifying potion, but the effect was somewhat different from what was expected. The paragurat that drank the petrochemical potion is an XX level magical animal that is widely used in experimental potions. The test results are similar to those of human test drugs. The hair will be covered with a thick layer of stone armor. The stone armor will affect its actions, and at the same time it can defend against some damaging spells and offset some of the spells. Similar to the sleeping spell, a spell that changes the state of a creature, stone armor can offset its sleeping effect. The outer layer of stone is a dead object. If it is not penetrated, the magic spell will not harm the creatures inside the stone armor and will naturally have no effect. As for the upper limit of offset and the specific defensive capabilities of the stone armor, it needs to be determined through human experiments. These are the last stocks in our store. The rest are all old blood that is more than 20 years old. If you need it, I can have it delivered. All the basilisk blood within 20 years had been bought up by Louis. After all, few wizards would use this thing, so it could only be used as bottom-of-the-barrel goods, and they didn't have much prepared in the store. 1 goose fresh basilisk blood can only be used to refine 3 goose petrifying potion stock solution. The petrifying potion given to paragurat is a mixture of the original solution and neutralizing liquid at a ratio of 1:2. The petrification power of the original liquid was so powerful that all paragurats who drank the original liquid turned into stone sculptures without exception. Those who are lucky will recover automatically after a while, but those who are unlucky will still be stone sculptures until now, or their body parts cannot fully recover and remain in stone state. Chapter 36. Regardless of mistakes, each Gassi basilisk blood can be refined into 24 Gassi petrifying agents, Each bottle is 10 milliliters, which is about 72 bottles of petrifying agents. Taking into account various mistakes, the actual output is only about 1:5, and the ratio can be improved a bit after becoming proficient. The raw materials used to make 1 Gassi blood are worth 16 galleons. Excluding labor costs, the raw materials needed to refine 1 Gassi basilisk blood are 33 gold galleons. Taking into account labor costs and various research and development expenses, Lewis and the others initially set a price of 3 galleons per bottle. This is a potion that can replace the iron armor curse, and is even more effective than the iron armor curse. Although the effect is a bit unstable and the side effects are quite strong, in the absence of a substitute, Lewis thinks the sales should be pretty good. Later in the original work, the British Ministry of Magic also ordered 3 sets of alchemical defense equipment from the twin brothers that could cast the iron armor curse. This shows that there are still a large number of Aurors who are not proficient in the iron armor curse. There is a saying in the wizarding world that is spiritualism in the release of spells. The more the state of mind is in line with the creator of the spell, the easier it is to release the spell. Whether the specifics are true needs to be considered. There are indeed a large number of wizards who are not good at it, or are only good at a few kinds of magic spells and know nothing about other magic. Lockhart is an example. After graduating from Hogwarts, he only knew the magic of the forgetting curse. I have no idea how he graduated from Hogwarts. Is it possible that Dang relaxed his discipline after taking over Hogwarts? Lewis didn't know, he didn't want to know, and he wasn't going to Hogwarts anyway. As long as Voldemort is not eliminated, Lewis has no intention of setting foot in the area where Hogwarts is located. Once Voldemort is gone, he is interested in going to the Hogwarts library to learn about the books in it. At this point, all the books in the Beauxbatons Academy library are basically backed up by the Lestrange family. The ancestors of Lewis have long since brought home all the knowledge they can bring home. There are also many books in it that Beauxbatons does not have, which is a reflection of a family's heritage. The descendants of the family can use that knowledge to become much stronger than ordinary wizards. It's a pity that those books are all in the old house in Paris. Anne's castle only contains some works on potions, which were Lewis' main study objects in the past few years. After preparing the petrochemical potion, now is the last step to put it on the market. Find a few brave testers to test the potion. Lewis originally wanted to go to the Muggle world and capture a few condemned prisoners to serve as guinea pigs. The process was not too complicated. If the Muggle expelling curse was applied, ordinary people around him would automatically ignore the condemned prisoners. Fleur and Sophie stopped him. Doing so would not only attract the prying eyes of the Ministry of Magic, but would also worry about the potion corroding ordinary people. Due to the magic power existing in wizards, essentially, wizards and humans are no longer the same species, and there are slight changes in their bodies. Magic power flows in the veins of wizards, and there is a special magic power storage organ in the body. It is said that it is located in the head, and the magic resistance is much higher than that of ordinary humans. When it comes to testing potions, human death row prisoners are not as cost-effective as brave little wizards. There are many such brave people in Beauxbatons. They are frequent visitors to the school doctor's office and earn a lot of savings by testing potions for others. When Lewis explained his purpose, a large number of young wizards overcame their inner resistance to Lewis under the temptation of gin gallon and took the initiative to come to him and ask him to hire them. In the end, Lewis hired 10 young wizards at the price of 10 galleons each. They were from grades 1 to 5, 1 male and 1 male. Lewis would use them to test the effect of the petrification potion. The potion in your hands is called petrification potion. Its effect is to generate a layer of stone armor on the surface of the human body. I have tested the specific effect on Paragurat, so you can rest assured. This matter is related to the success or failure of the petrified potion. Lewis trio all came and stood at the edge of the test site to watch the effect of the potion. The testing site is right next to the school hospital. No matter what problems there are, the magical school doctor can save the lives of these little wizards. The potion testers had long been experienced in testing potions, and without Lewis' instructions, they took the initiative to unplug the cork on the potion bottle and poured the grey potion in the bottle into their mouths. Deep feelings make you feel stuffy. This is their experience. As long as I drink it quickly, no matter what the taste of the potion is, it will not affect me. Some potions are really terrible to drink. They are 100 times worse than the Ganges River water where corpses are soaked in a certain country. The smell of smelly socks, the smell of moldy underwear soaked in water and rags. There are countless potions, and half of them are terrible to drink. The first one to take effect was the first-year wizard. The thick stone armor continued to extend from his legs and soon covered most of his body. After a while, he was wrapped in stone. His face, right hand, potion bottle, and wand in his hand looked like they were petrified. The wizards who tested the medicine suddenly panicked. They were here to make money, not to risk their lives. Who knows if the school doctor's office can cure petrification? It's not that they doubt the level of the school doctor's office, but they always have doubts about unknown things. At this moment, the stone man moved. He first moved his feet stiffly, then his hands and head. He looked like an insect wrapped in a pupa, which could also be said to be a clown. The dose of petrification is too high, Lewis thought silently in his heart. It seems that the resistance of wizards to potions, at least in terms of petrification potions, is not as good as that of small things like Paraguru. Seeing that nothing happened to him, the other little wizards quickly drank the potion in the bottle. After a while, 10 statues with moving bodies appeared on the test site, which also attracted the attention of some young wizards. The petrifying potion was famous. With the experiments of these little wizards, Lewis quickly prepared a batch of petrochemical chemicals with a ratio of 1:4 of original solution to neutralizer, as well as various ratios of 1:5, 1:7, 1:8, etc. Petrochemicals. 20 young wizards were selected again, and Lewis asked them to test 4 ratios of potions. The most effective one was the petrifying potion with a ratio of 1:3. The little wizard who drinks these potions will have stone armor appear on most parts of his body, including the thighs above the knees, both hands above the elbow joints, and the chest and abdomen. Among them, the petrified armor on the chest and abdomen is the thickest and has the best defensive effect. This part is also the most vulnerable to attack. The petrified armor on the thighs and arms is thin, affecting about 15% of the movement speed and half of the casting speed, and the side effects are relatively weak. There is also a 1:10 version, which can only protect the chest and abdomen, and the protective power is weakened by 10% compared to the 1:9 version, but it will not affect the wizard's movement. Chapter 37. The 1:9 version of Petrified Potion and the 1:10 version of Petrified Potion will be the store's flagship products during the Campus Art Festival. The remaining product is the wizard version of soda developed by Sophie. The sour and sweet taste is somewhat similar to the lemon honey water in the wizarding world, but it has the unique taste of soda, and the feeling of dancing on the tongue makes people want to stop. Wizard Soda, and Petrifying Potion. The enhanced version of Petrifying Potion is their flagship product. Among them, Wizard Soda has already applied for a patent. The Marceau family and the Lestrange family jointly operate it. After making profits, they will pay Lewis and others a certain patent fee. This was mainly obtained for Fleur. She had a 25% share of the patent. For every galleons she earned, Fleur could get 1 galleons of patent fees. This was the case for Wizard Soda and petrochemical potions. In the petrochemical potion, Fleur holds 20% of the patent, Lewis holds 35%, and Sophie holds 25%. Just like Lewis holds 40% of the patent for Wizard Soda, it is the result of their friendly gift. 1 week before the Easter holiday, Beauxbatons College Campus Arts Festival was officially held, which is the earliest festival among the 3 major campuses. Durmstrang's Easter tournament will be held during Easter, and Hogwarts Quidditch starts in early November each year. Compatriots! The annual festival is coming again. It is a feast and a test for us. We must unite and work together for Beauxbatons. On the ground floor of the castle, the elder house elves with white hair and beards were mobilizing the house elves. They needed to prepare food for most of the guests during the art festival. Anne, Sophie's parents, Fla's family. Except for the Flamel couple, all the other wizards related to the 3 Louises came. Beauxbatons Zinchen's original potion has been praised by many potion masters in Europe. It is a new potion that can change a battle. Please stay tuned for the new potion at No. 31, Tulip Garden, Petrifying Potion. At the main entrances of Student Square City, huge billboards made by Lewis were erected. There is also a magic portrait in the center, recording the scene after the wizard drank the petrifying potion. The location of the Tulip Garden, small store, is too remote, and it is difficult to attract enough traffic without advertising. As for the advertising effect, it can only be said that it is not bad. Dozens of wizards came in one morning, most of them were students who had seen the power of petrochemical potions, and there were only a few outside wizards. No, there are too few people coming, and wizard soda can't be sold in the store at all. After waiting for a day, a dozen copies of the petrochemical potion were sold, while the sales volume of the wizard soda, which Louis and the others had high hopes for, was bleak. "Tomorrow we will change our sales strategy," Louis called everyone together and announced. If the petrochemical potion is a reflection of Louis's level of medicine refining, then the wizard soda is the main source of income for the store. As long as the reputation of the soda is promoted, referring to the three cola giants in the real world, the wizard soda without competitors will be enough to earn an enviable profit for Louis and the others. "Tomorrow we will take the initiative and bring soda to crowded places to give away. Note that we are only giving away, not selling, to all the wizards who want to drink. Giving away without selling is the first step for many brands in the real world to build a reputation. Through early gifts, they let others know about their brand and quickly accumulate their first batch of customers." There were expressions of thinking on everyone's faces. They only gave it away but did not sell it. This was a new term for them living in the wizarding world. Mr. Marceau, who runs a family business, was the first to understand the meaning of this word and said in an approving voice. "Only for giving away, not selling. Why didn't I think of such a good idea? Let's make the wizard soda famous first. After they drink the wizard soda, they will naturally be attracted to the soda and become our customers. Yes, in addition to wizard soda, we can also display the petrifying potion in crowded places and let them see the power of the petrifying potion with their own eyes." Mr. Delacour added. "They only need to pay a batch of wizard soda, the value of which will not exceed 100 gold galleons, and they can take advantage of the art festival to let wizards all over the world know about wizard soda. After wizards have their initial impression of soda, and then find a few well-known wizards like Lockhart to advertise, Louis believes that it won't be long before the wizarding world accepts wizard soda as a delicious and inexpensive drink. Hey, look, there are free drinks somewhere." Looking in the direction the wizard pointed, there was a banner erected in the middle of the downtown area, which read, "Wizard soda, free trial, limited to 3 bottles, while stocks last." The drama of limited sales was also proposed by Louis, just like the anchors in previous lives who sold a few hundred pieces in a live broadcast. It stimulated some gangsters to buy his products like crazy. After a live broadcast, hundreds of thousands of limited sale items might be sold. As a result, the anchor still yelled in the live broadcast room, "There are only X items left, old man guys, take action quickly. What are you looking at? Can you drink free stuff?" The witch walking beside him scolded. In the wizarding world, there are many potions that are added with werewolf poison, which will turn you into a werewolf after one sip, or potions that are added with alchemical poison that will kill you if you touch them casually. But this is a campus art festival. If it was poisonous, the college would have arrested them long ago. Look, someone went up to drink. A wizard wrapped in a black robe walked to the stall and asked Fleur, who was guarding the stall, for a bottle of orange-flavored wizard soda. Opening the cap of the glass bottle, the black-robed wizard raised his head and took a sip of the potion. At this time, the black hood covering his head just happened to slip off, allowing the wizards present to watch him drink the soda with their own eyes. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds passed quickly, and until Mr. Marceau put his hood back on, there was no abnormality expected by the wizards. Louis, who was standing in the crowd, moved. He and Mr. Marceau acted as shills. In addition to them, there were several wizards arranged by the Lestrange family in the crowd. They followed Louis closely, running to the stall and shouting, "Give me a bottle." The wizards have taken action, don't take advantage of the bastard, not only here, but also in front of the other 6 gift booths in the market. The same scene appeared. The 600 bottles of wizard soda were all sold out in a short time. In order to tease the wizards' excitement, the banner in front of the stall was quickly changed to another one. On the second day after the store opened, the boss decided to rush back to his alma mater and give away another 3 bottles. Fleur took out the wizard soda that she had prepared a long time ago. There were 500 bottles of wizard soda in her alchemy suitcase. After the 200 bottles were delivered, a banner offering a 50% off limited edition sale would be posted. Chapter 38. The event lasted for 3 days. From free gifts at the beginning to 50% off purchases now, the wizards showed their strong purchasing power and cleared out half of Louis's inventory in just 3 days. Wizard soda is officially popular, and many wizards like this sour sweet drink that has an explosive feeling in their mouths. There are piles of wizards gathered outside the tulip garden. They are representatives of major families and wizard merchants who travel in the wizarding world. They all come here with the purpose of buying wizard sodas. These guys saw the potential for wizard soda to become the most popular drink in the wizarding world, joining butterbeer in dominating the wizarding world. Compared to butterbeer, female wizards with strong purchasing power prefer wizard soda, which is delicious and less expensive than butterbeer. If it weren't for the Marceau family and the Lestrange family suppressing them from behind, the businessman who surpassed the wizard could have gone even further. Knock him out and take him away, and with just a bottle of truth serum worth 10 galleons, you can get the complete secret recipe for wizard soda, and maybe enjoy a few young bodies. This is the real wizarding world. In the face of interests, any wizard has the potential to become a dark wizard. The only question is whether the benefits are big enough. On the fourth day, wizard soda appeared in major newspapers in the wizarding world. At the same time, a new wizard soda processing factory was built in Austria. The workers were all goblins living at the bottom of society. Except for a small number of goblins who control the lifeblood of wizards, golden galleons, the living conditions of the rest of the goblins are not good. They are the cheapest workers in the wizarding world, and few people will fight for their rights. The wizarding world is a hierarchical world, with wizard aristocrats, muggle wizards, humans, and finally the non-human intelligent group, who are the best slaves in the wizarding world. On the sixth day of the art festival, wizard soda shops quietly opened in wizard trading markets everywhere. Most of the shops were jointly managed by local nobles and wizard soda companies. Wizard soda, a new drink driven by major families, has officially entered every corner of the wizarding world. Who are you and why do you give me such a familiar feeling? The wizard hidden in the wide black robe was stunned for a moment, and quickly disappeared into the crowded group of wizards. What's the matter? Annie. Louis walked to Annie. He was handling things in the store just now and didn't hear clearly what Annie was saying. It's nothing, I must have read it wrong. Looking at the direction in which the man disappeared, he was slightly stunned. He gave Anne a familiar and strange feeling. The first time she saw him, Anne seemed to see her adoptive father, Grandpa Louis. No, that person is already dead, Anne denied in her heart. She had personally participated in her adoptive father's funeral. That person would definitely not be her adoptive father. Why don't you go inside and rest for a while? After so many days of work, it's time for you to have a good rest. In the past 6 days, Anne and Marceau had not closed their eyes for much. They were either discussing company affairs or receiving talkers from major wizarding families. They have been busy until now. The Marceau couple and Fla's parents have gone home, and they have to go back to deal with many issues such as company location selection. Anne's original intention was to say goodbye to Louis and then go back to deal with matters. After seeing the man, she changed her mind and decided to stay in Beauxbatons for one night to see if she could meet the wizard who felt familiar to her again. Okay, I'll go back to the villa to rest for a while, and then call me when you're done. Louis nodded and watched Annie get on the rune carriage. He didn't turn back to the store until the carriage was out of sight. Fleur, Sophie, and the waiters hired with huge sums of money were almost as busy as spinning tops. Before the last wizard's order could be processed, the next wizard or even 2 wizards had already lined up. Oh my god, you are finally back. If you don't come back, my hand will almost break. Sophie rubbed her wrists and complained that since Louis was away, the tasks that should have been done by him were equally divided between them, making the already difficult work even more difficult. After giving Sophie and Fleur an apologetic look, Louis got into the tedious business of collecting galleons and counting galleons. Let's hire some helpers tomorrow. There are too many people coming to buy wizard soda. Sitting on the rune carriage returning to the villa, Fleur suggested. She felt like her hand was about to break. She couldn't even pick up a feather, let alone the wand. I agree, it would be nice to find a few more classmates to help collect the money, and the 3 of us will be responsible for supervision. Sophie, like Fleur, felt soreness in her arm muscles, which completely made her lose the mood to eat. Louis still had the energy to eat. She didn't even want to move, she just wanted to lie down on the bed now. 10, no, 30 galleons a day, I believe many young wizards are willing to work for us. Louis, who was sitting in the middle and holding them up to prevent Sophie and Fleur from falling, added that he originally wanted to say 10 galleons a day, but thinking of the terrifying workload, Louis felt that 30 galleons a day was more appropriate. The talisman carriage stopped in front of the villa. Louis helped the weak Sophie out of the carriage, and then turned around to pick up the equally weak Fleur. Because the efficiency of sitting down was too low, they stood almost all day. When they were closing the store, they realized that their legs were numb. However, the pain in the arm is obviously more painful and attracts their attention more, causing them to subconsciously ignore the pain in other parts of the body. The villa was quiet at ordinary times, but Bei Long had already rushed behind the door with a roar. Opening the hidden buckle on his arm, he took out a piece of wand from the belt with a traceless telescopic charm, and after hiding it under the loose wizard robe, Louis opened the door of the villa. There were 3 figures sitting in the bright hall, namely Anne, the man in black robe that Anne saw in the afternoon, and another man in black robe dressed the same as him. The moment she saw Louis, Anne struggled and signaled to Louis to run away quickly. She was trapped, and as soon as she returned to the villa, she was captured by these 2 men in black robes. They seemed to be very good at Anne's fighting style, not giving her any chance to use magic props, and frantically using magic crystals to build a forbidden magic circle. A one-time item produced by fairies that can suppress the effect of alchemical items. It is extremely expensive and very rare. The production method has long been lost, and the existing magic crystals are used less. The protective equipment on Annie's body, including the gems she left on her body, all lost their magic power, and she was defeated by the 2 men in black robes in an instant. "Who are you? Let Annie go and get out of my house." Taking out the dragon wand, Louis protected Sophie and Fleur behind him. Chapter 39. Who am I? Quack, quack, little guy, put down the wand in your hand, or else. The black-robed wizard pointed the wand in his hand at Anne, which flashed with frightening magical power. "You dare! If you dare to hurt Anne, no matter who you are, I will kill you, and then kill all your relatives. I, Louis Lestrange, will do what I say." A pair of starry eyes were full of murderous intent, and Louis wanted to kill the 2 black-robed wizards in the living room immediately. "Ha ha ha ha! This is the first time in many years that I heard someone threaten me. Do you know what happened to the last person who threatened me?" The black-robed wizard laughed wildly, and the fire spell in his hand shot directly at Anne's unprotected body. The alchemical equipment on her body was still inactive. "Are you going to die? This feels really bad, I haven't even found a boyfriend yet." The beautiful blonde hair curled slightly under the high temperature, exuding a burnt smell. "I'm going to kill you." In a state of extreme anger, Louis did not even recite a spell, but naturally cast the fireball spell, and a fireball twice the size of the normal state appeared on the top of the wand. While Louis was confronting the man in black robe, Fleur and Sophie quietly retreated out the door. For some reason, the alchemy tools did not work in the villa. The moment they encountered the invisible barrier, Furong's heart sank. Not being able to go out meant that they couldn't find anyone to rescue them. With the 3 little wizards alone, Furong didn't think they could defeat the black-robed wizard. "Sister Anne!" Sophie and Fleur screamed at the same time. As soon as they turned around after being blocked by the barrier, they saw Anne wrapped in flames. "That's enough. Audro, have you forgotten the purpose of our coming here?" The black-robed wizard, who seemed familiar to Anne, roared, waved his hand to interrupt Audro's fire spell, and revealed Anne under the flames, protected by the iron armor spell. "Tisk, damn old guy," the wizard named Audro cursed secretly in his heart. They were members of the same organization. The man in black robe had a much higher status in the organization than him. Even if he felt unhappy, he did not dare to express it. "Haha! You don't think that you can hurt me with the slow fireball in your hand?" Looking at the fireball flying in front of him, Audro taunted. How could the spell cast by a mere first-year wizard hurt him, an Auror-level wizard? Auror-level is the division of strength in their organization, and above that there are elite Auror-level and epic-level wizards, as well as the highest and greatest king, Grindelwald. They come from the great army of Grindelwald. The old guy next to them is a member of the first generation, and he is a member of the second generation who grew up later. He is one of the young members of the army of Grindelwald. In the eyes of the high-level wizard, the slow-moving fireball with no power exploded, and flames with a temperature of more than 1,000 degrees spread to most of the living room with Audro as the core. "Help me! Please! Help me!" Audro, who fell on the floor and wailed, stretched out his right hand burning with flames to another black-robed wizard. "Sorry, Avada Nazdawa." The black-robed wizard pulled out his wand, and the dark green beam of life-killing curse fell on Audro. This was the only thing he could do for Audro. For the greater good, for Grindelwald. "Rest in peace, my friend Audro." The black-robed wizard put his right hand on his chest and whispered a tune with a clear rhythm in his mouth, as if he was saying goodbye to his companion. "Ha! Old guy, aren't you already dead?" The man in black robe was stunned for a moment. Interesting, you actually guessed my identity. The hood that covered his head automatically slid off, revealing an old wrinkled face that had been hanging in the center of the castle with Louis' grandmother all year round. He is Corvus Lestrange V, also known as Abernathy, one of the most trusted men of the Dark Lord Grindelwald. Why didn't you die? Annie turned her head, not wanting to see Abernathy's face. In her heart, her adoptive father had died long ago. I died a long time ago, and my body was buried in Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris. Now I am Abernathy, Grindelwald's most loyal servant. Abernathy said lightly that since the day of his death, his connection with the Lestrange family has been severed. He has only one mission now, and that is to contribute to Grindelwald for the great benefit. Rest of life. Then why do you still come out? Isn't it good to just stay in Nurmengard and serve your Dark Lord? Anne preferred that he be dead than alive. Even if he had saved her with the iron armor curse not long ago, Anne still wished that her adoptive father was dead. Sorry, I don't want to appear in front of you, but for the great Grindelwald, I... Abernathy lowered his head apologetically. If the great Grindelwald hadn't been in urgent need of the elixir of life, he wouldn't have wanted to leave Nurmengard. He preferred to observe Louis in secret, watching him grow up and continue the honor of the Lestrange family. The 11-year-old junior potion master showed great strength when facing the four witches, and was noticed by Nico Flamel. He also independently developed a petrifying potion. Everything made Abernathy believe that Louis would become the pillar of the Lestrange family sooner or later. As Louis' former grandfather, he just wanted to witness Louis' legend for the rest of his life. So you came out this time to do something for Grindelwald, right? Recalling his parents' experiences, Louis suddenly hated Abernathy, his nominal grandfather, and with it, Louis hated Grindelwald. Sorry, Louis, Lord Grindelwald needs the Philosopher's Stone. All for the greater good. Abernathy buried his head lower. He didn't dare to look at Anne, let alone Louis. Abernathy knew that he was sorry for them, and even more sorry for Louis' parents. Oh, the greater good is so disgusting. Had it been someone else who had said such words, Abernathy would have sent that person to meet the god of death. But the person who spoke was Anne, one of the people Abernathy felt most sorry for. Sooner or later, you will understand, but now, please help me get the magic stone. Abernathy suddenly raised his head, his eyes full of determination. He believed that sooner or later, Anne and Louis would understand his good intentions. The wizarding world is about to usher in the end. The greatest benefit of Grindelwald's army is to unite the power of the entire wizarding world to fight against the doomsday under the leadership of Grindelwald. He, you are really my good grandfather. This is the last time I call you. From now on, there will never be any relationship between you and us. Grief, disappointment, or other emotions lingered in Louis' heart. Is Grindelwald really that important? So important that he can even abandon his grandson and adopted daughter. Chapter 40. That's good, I don't have to worry about our relationship anymore. Abernathy chuckled, the expression on his face became gloomy, and he pointed his wand at Anne. Then I'll talk to you in another way. You go and get me the magic stone or the elixir of life. I'll let Annie and the two little girls behind you go. You. Anne was about to say something, but Abernathy blocked her mouth with a magic spell. Then he waved gently, and Fleur and Sophie had no room for resistance. The magic brought them to Anne's side. Look. The three women you have the best relationship with are all in my hands. What are you going to do, kill me? Louis took a deep breath and tried to recall the emotion when he activated the fireball technique. The flames are coming. Surrendering before making any effort is not Louis' style. There are many obstacles. Abernathy had long been wary of Louis' fireball technique. The fireball encountered an invisible obstacle in midair and suddenly spread out. The flames splashed in all directions and almost ignited Abernathy's wizard robe. The curse stops. He cast the final curse again, and the flames were quickly extinguished by the power of the final curse. How many more spells like this can you cast? With your current magic power reserves, I'm afraid you won't be able to cast any of them. Abernathy misjudged the power of the fireball. He thought the first fireball was a normal spell, and the second was a weakened version of the spell that Louis used after consuming all the remaining magic. This was obviously not the case. He consumed 60 points of magic power, 40 of which were used on the first fireball. It was the first time Louis used a fireball with supernormal power. Name, Louis Lestrange. Mana, 2383. Skill, Fireball, 48/1000. Before today, the experience of Fireball stayed at 27/1000. Every time Louis used Fireball, the skill experience would automatically increase by 1 point. In the past, he thought that after using 1000 Fireballs, he would automatically be upgraded to a higher level Fireball. He did not expect that a superstandard Fireball would give him 20 experience points. So what? I can help you get the Elixir of Life, but you must sign the loyalty spell with me, release them immediately after getting the potion, and never appear in front of us again. The Red Loyalty Curse is a secret spell in the wizarding world. Even Lao Fu dare not violate the power of the spell. Violators may be seriously injured, lose a certain function completely, or be killed directly in the worst case. In the entire modern wizarding world, it is said that only Dumbledore can avoid the punishment of the Fidelity Curse. Abernathy said without hesitation, "Okay, as long as you promise to help me get the Elixir of Life, I will sign a loyalty spell with you." Putting the dragon back into the wand bag, showing his sincerity, Louis walked up to Abernathy and put his left hand together with his left hand. The moment the red loyalty spell was cast, Louis felt something hidden in his soul. As long as he dared to break his oath, that kind of thing would cause harm to him. "They will stay with me first, and come to me after you get the elixir. I will release them then." Abernathy waved his hand to lift the spell on the three people's mouths, and Anne immediately yelled, "Don't listen to him, he is a bastard." Ugh! The spell blocked Anne's mouth again. "I'm sorry for involving you in this matter. Please bear with me for a while. I'll be back soon." "It's okay." This was Sophie's voice. "You have to be careful, we will take care of ourselves," Fleur said with a smile. Louis smiled and nodded, turned around and walked out of the villa resolutely. He wanted to find a place where no one was around, and he couldn't let others see his teleportation method. "Hey, little Louis is here. Today is still the campus art festival." "Yes, master, today is the 6th day of the art festival." Louis forced a smile on his face. "What are you doing here this time?" Mr. Flamel looked up from the newspaper. He was reading newspapers from the outside world, trying to find the next place suitable for travel. "I want to ask my master for an elixir, Abernathy. A member of Grindelwald's army threatened me with my family and asked me to steal an elixir for them." After hearing Louis' purpose, Mr. Flamel put down the newspaper in his hand. "Abernathy? I remember he seems to be a member of the Lestrange family, right?" "That's right. He is my grandfather." To be honest, Louis didn't want to acknowledge Abernathy. He didn't deserve to be his grandfather. "Oh, I'm sorry, that's really unfortunate news." Mr. Flamel said with an apologetic expression on his face. "The elixir of life, right? It's in the drawer on the left. Forget it, please go there in person, madam." After hearing this, Mr. Flamel got up and walked into the inner room, and came out with a bottle of potion containing light yellow potion. "Go back quickly, kid. If you need us anywhere, please come here. Your master and I will always be behind you." Madame Flamel handed the elixir to Louis, patted him on the shoulder and said, "Thank you, master." "Master, I'm going back first. I'll come back to apologize to you after I finish this matter." Bowing to his master and his wife, Louis once again activated the formation on the secret keeper's bronze medal and teleported back to the place where he was. "Just let him go like this? Don't you want to give this kid a little help?" After Louis left, Mr. Flamel's voice sounded again. "Let him handle it by himself, I believe he can handle it." Compared to Mr. Flamel, Nico Flamel paid more attention to the cultivation of Louis. In his opinion, this incident not only did not affect Louis, but also accelerated his growth. Running back to the villa in a hurry, Louis did not notice Johnson hiding halfway. He had not noticed Mr. Johnson these days. Every night, Johnson would wander on the path to the villa. He wanted to find some evidence of Louis' crimes so that he could overthrow Louis. It would be best to have Louis expelled from the school. Huang Tian paid off, and he finally seized the opportunity. Seeing hope, Johnson quietly followed Louis, regardless of whether he was violating school rules, and followed him outside the villa. Whether to go or not, Johnson lingered outside the villa for a long time. "There's someone outside, did you bring him here?" Abernathy, who was about to make a deal, suddenly stopped. The induction spell he set on the side of the villa sensed the outsider. "No, I didn't look for it, and I don't have time to look for the college professor. Do you want to check it? Louis urged. He just wanted to complete the deal quickly so that Anne and the others could get out of danger as soon as possible. Of course I do, but before that, I have to deal with a little peeping bug. After sensing the visitor's magic power and discovering that he was just a young wizard with weak magic power, Abernethy drew his wand.